I'm Bruce Buffer. It's time for the Anthony Gorgano Show!
Good morning! Happy Football Friday to all across the Delaware Valley. We got through the first week, all right? We're good. This is it. X marks the spot. We get rid of the first week, and then all the fun will begin. That's what we're waiting for. It's a Football Friday without a football game, but it's a Super Bowl, and wow, I still can't believe it. I believe that they're in the Super Bowl because I think they're a very good team. But part of me channels my inner 12-year-old. It's always been a kind of a part of me, like where I channel my inner 12-year-old. My 4-for-4 landscape as a youth. And I think back to how awful they were. I mean, how disappointing they were for years and years, right? And now they're going to be in 3 Super Bowls in 8 years. It is awesome. It's freaking exhilarating when you think about it. This is the Anthony Gargano Show. Welcome in. We are presented by TrueMark Financial Credit Union. Please go to TrueMark.com/PHLY to learn about the credit union difference. Now, I feel good about the game. It's the weirdest thing, and I'm curious to see what you guys think, but I actually feel great about it. I think they're going to win. I think they're the better team. Now, there's the obvious. I try to X and O it, and I think about it, and there is the obvious, obviously Andy Reid and Spags and Mahomes are great, right? Like they don't lose. They have this thing all year long, right? Of how they win games. They're in every game. Every game's a one-score game, and somehow at the end they come out on top. And it's because of execution, right? Like they understand how to win. There is a thing about learning how to win. That is real. I don't believe in conspiracy theories. I don't believe in refs being in the Chiefs' pocket. I don't believe in any of that nonsense. I don't. I believe that certain teams know how to win. And quite frankly, it starts with the coaching staff, but that quarterback knows how to win. He makes plays. And that was the difference. People go, well, Andy Reid had to go to Kansas City to learn how to win. And the truth of the matter is, Donovan didn't know how to win. This is true. He was a really good player, and he won a lot of games, but he didn't have that thing that made you win that Mahomes has. And interestingly, I think Jalen Hurts has. I think Jalen Hurts that knows how to win. I think he wins. It's about the game itself. And whether he's in a straitjacket or running the football or, throwing the ball away, those are all components that he learns how to win. He gets how to win. I would be shocked if this wasn't like a great game, a really good game. And I would be shocked if the Eagles ran out of the building. I just don't think it's possible. I don't think it's possible because of their fronts and because I think the quarterback and the running back know how to win. Like I think they're going to execute to that point. So I keep going back. vacillate. I think the Eagles are better. I think the Eagles are better up front. I think there's two major advantages, and both happen to come up front. One is certainly the O-line and how good the O-line is. I saw James Cook have success running between the tackles. When Buffalo needed, I spoke to someone yesterday in Buffalo, and he said that they're vulnerable, that you can run on Kansas City. And they proved it. Like when they needed to run, they ran the ball. And it was right in front of us. We all saw it. And that's what the Eagles do. The Eagles, like, you could put 8 in the box and fill every gap, and that's not a recipe. Like, Spags is going to have to guess right in his run blitzes to stop Barkley. And he's going to stop him here and there, but I don't think you can shut them down. I think he's got 1, 2, 3 long runs. One's a home run. The other 2 maybe is double, right? Like he'll go get loose for 18. And then he's probably going to take one to the house for 55. I just think that's how they're built, how they're wired. They're that good up front. And then the other point is defensively, the Eagles are so good defensively, and that's how you win football, right? That's how you win football games. You win because Jalen Carter is going to be a handful, and they're going to have to double him, and it's going to create mismatches, soft spots within that line. And then you got the Eagles secondary, which is fortified, right? Like, they don't give up big plays. They don't give up those long, all of a sudden there's Worthy. He takes one, 74 to the house. Like, they don't do that. Cooper DeJean's a great tackler. Zach Bowen's a great tackler. Like, this team, this defense is so good. So, again, the basic tenets of football, defense and running game, that's where they excel at. And that's why I think they're going to win. I think ultimately they're a better team than Kansas City other than Mahomes and the coaching staff. And I just don't think that's enough. And it's not like the Eagles coaching staff is bad, right? So with Fangio and Kellen Moore and Sirianni has them buttoned up, I think that's the recipe. I think there's going to be a parade. I believe it. I'm believing a parade. Maybe they're just the Dragon Slayers. They slayed Brady, and they're going to slay Mahomes. And that's who the Birds are. Good morning, VG.
Good. Did you say parade? Did you say parade?
I do. I feel it.
Whoa.
Dragon Slayers.
Dragon Slayers.
Right?
I feel great.
I mean, listen, you know me a long time. And you know me professionally as well, in the sense that I'm not one of these, King Kong thump on my chest, EAGLES. I like to look at things logically from a football standpoint. Fun and act goofy. But when I'm talking about the game, I'm pretty conservative. Defense and running game.
That's it. This is like old school versus the new school.
Right?
And here's what I like, because the old school is actually like a new trend now. The old school is not what people are used to. And I feel like in football, the teams that are ahead of the trends are the teams that win. Andy Reid and those guys, the whole league's going to be playing catch up to the Birds next year, because this is the formula that wins. Tough nose defense and running game.
Dude, the irony is, it's so funny that you say this. Because I told you this story once, I'll say it again, but years ago, Spags is out of work. It was after the New Orleans mess. And he took a year to do nothing. He did some media stuff, and we had this whole conversation about the future of football. And he's like, if I had to do it over again, like if I get another job, I'm going to build, because he's a defensive guy, but I'm going to have a running game, a fullback. I want a bigger linebacker. I think that the game will take a shift. So all those light ends and all that stuff that you can just plow through. And that's what had the irony is he said that, I don't know how long, 15 years ago, and it finally came to fruition, and he's on the other side of it.
So is it irony, or did you like text Howie a couple years ago and be like, yo, you got to beat Spags? And Spags says this is the way to do it. He doesn't know how to stop this. And Howie's like, yes, thank you, Anthony. Yeah, you sure it's irony?
Yeah.
It's all cuz his plan.
Yeah, right.
He's a mole.
Yeah.
He's a Howie mole.
I wish. I just find it interesting that this is who they became. And look, there is something to said about, we talked about winning, right? And Mahomes knows how to win.
Yep.
Right? He just does. He knows how to win. And that's what McNabb lacked. McNabb he just, every one of those games ended in an interception. And there's a reason.
Yeah, yes.
It's true.
I mean,
I'm not ripping him.
He came from Syracuse, not a winning program.
And I'm not ripping him because, like, again, he won a ton of games. Like, he should be lauded as a very good quarterback. But
I think you give Andy a little slack there. I don't think Andy knew how to win here either.
I don't know how you win with the quarterback made a ton of mistakes. This quarterback that he has now doesn't.
Well, yeah, I mean, he is the genius now because he's got probably the greatest quarterback ever.
But like, you need somebody that's I go back to the Super Bowl, and I remember the wheel route that he cooked up with Westbrook, and McNabb missed him. And he was open.
Yeah, quarterbacks miss throws.
No, but you can't miss a play. Like, there are certain, like, basic tenets are when you have a play that dialed up that's going to work, you got to make it work. Like, nobody's saying you got to throw through a mouse hole.
Right.
But you can't miss by a mile.
Maybe as coach, he should have known it's a possibility.
I don't know.
Five with his limited skill, that might not be the play to dial with five.
Well, you can only win when you got.
Now he's the genius because he's got the greatest quarterback on the planet.
Why? So he's not? Bumdaruski's not?
Bumdaruski? I think he's a little overrated.
Do you?
I do. I think he's
Is
a little
that your
overrated.
Eagleton talking?
Probably.
Yeah.
I'll own that.
Because, again, I don't think he is at all. I think is he not? You don't think he's the best coach?
In the league right now?
Yeah.
No.
No?
No.
Who's better? He's not overrated.
I mean, there's someone clearly with a way better winning percentage. Is a Paisan in South Philly. Nick Bickle.
He's not overrated.
Andy Reid?
You got to give him his flowers.
So you're telling me Sirianni's better than Reid?
Hey, the stats are what they are right now. We'll see after the Super Bowl.
Come on, bro. I mean, listen, I appreciate
He's doing
the goggles.
He's doing it with a second-round quarterback.
I appreciate the goggles and the fandom, but come on. Like, let's get a serious conversation.
All right, McVay. I think McVay's better than Andy.
Yeah, I think you're just hating. Like, listen, just because he's a good coach doesn't mean, or the best coach in the league.
He's a good coach. Suddenly he's the greatest because he's got the greatest player on the planet. I mean, come on.
Come on, me. I don't know. You're the one talking like a fan. I don't know what to tell you. I completely disagree with you.
I'd like to see him win with a backup quarterback.
Who wins the Super Bowl with a backup quarterback?
Doug Peterson does, baby. Yeah.
I set you up for that.
Yeah. Like an Olympic volleyball setup. Yeah. Well, man, come on. Yeah, let me see Andy do that.
Yeah, Carson Wentz is going to.
How great is this story that Carson Wentz is involved in this too?
Well, here's the one thing.
And Carson Wentz.
Here's the one thing that I.
Boom, little combo punch of both of them.
Here's the one thing I agree with you. There is no way in the world that freaking Carson Wentz deserves another ring.
True.
He didn't deserve the last one. And I will be petty about this.
He got the birds.
Yeah, he did.
He kind of deserved it.
Yeah.
Come on. I'm doing now. I'm playing you. You're giving me the volley back and forth.
My bad.
All right. There's no way in the world that dude deserves to have a ring.
No,
There's no way
not two rings
in the world that dude can win.
No.
And by the way, he's a mush.
He is a mush.
All right? So there's no way he deserves a win. Would I love if something happened, not serious, but Mahomes can't.
Yeah, twist an ankle.
Whatever. It comes out, throw. He has a stomach bug, can't play.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You got the runs.
All right? And here comes, that would be the greatest gift
this
to
city
Philadelphia
would go nuts
since the Liberty Bell. It would be the greatest thing ever.
Oh man, I just the fact that he's involved in this storyline is
I know.
amazing.
Dude, I hear you. I still can't. The other day, I was like, freaking I was looking at their roster. And I'm going through the roster, and I'm like, there's no freaking way that Carson Wentz is on this roster. That Carson Wentz is the backup. Freaking Wentz.
Dude, and he played, and he was horrible.
Yeah, well, at the end of the season.
Yeah, but still, come on.
I mean, yeah, he is what he is.
He's no Kenny Pickett. That's for sure.
Listen, I don't want to see Pickett be Wentz either. So,
and listen, so the chat is, and Philadelphia's fired up about these refs. I will say this. I think there is a bias. I think
there's no bias.
I think the bias ends now because the goal has been met. The Chiefs are in the Super Bowl. The Swifties will be watching. So now I think it's an even playing field.
I hate that. But I don't believe it. The chat's saying that.
I mean, the chat's
there is
saying
no
it.
bias.
Everyone's saying it.
There is no
Aikman's
bias.
saying it.
There's no bias. No, what Aikman's talking about is not a Chiefs bias. He's talking about a quarterback. What Mahomes did to draw those fouls is he bends the rule, right? Like acts like he's going out of bounds and picks up more yardage, and then gets hit. Then there's a flag. Like they need to adjust to that, right? But there's no edict. I've heard this for years. It's the thing I hate the most is this conspiracy theory that all these leagues are rigged.
I don't think they're all rigged. I just think it's rigged for the Chiefs.
It's not rigged for the Chiefs.
To get them to the Super Bowl. It's not
rigged for the Chiefs. It's not. How did they lose to so the NFL told Buffalo to lay down at the end?
No, they screwed them with the marking of the football. He got the first down. Come on.
If there's one thing,
he clearly got the first down.
If there's one thing in the NFL history,
You're killing me today. You're killing me.
You didn't think that spot was a bad spot?
No.
If the league was rigged, then Tom Brady would have had the perfect season.
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
It doesn't fit the narrative of the NFL.
You're going too far back.
I'm not.
You're living in the past. This is all about the ratings going through the roof with Taylor Swift.
They were going through the
Taylor Swift.
Joey Marone knows what's up. Yeah,
that's because you're a music guy. It's Taylor Swift. Stop.
Swifties.
Come on, stop.
There's a lot of new eyeballs on that game.
Listen, what you're doing is you're polluting the sport. Don't talk about the sport.
They polluted themselves. I'm just
stop.
Discussing it.
It's ridiculous. Anthony Becht is coming up. I get to actually talk football.
Well, good. I mean, you need to get your fix with real football talk.
I do.
I mean, I can't provide that.
Do this nonsense.
Nah,
I can't. I can't do refs. And
Taylor Swift.
Andy Reid stinks. And all. I mean, come on.
He's a good coach.
Stop.
That's all I say. He's a good coach.
Tell us about Ace.
Talk about not overrated. Talk about the GOATs. Ace Hardware Home Services. Because the stress of home repairs is enough to make me pull my hair out if I had any. Ace Hardware Home Services, folks, they take all that stress away. Got a leaky pipe? Ace Hardware Home Services are around the block with everything you need to fix it, including the right person to do the job. Got a heating issue? They got a person for that. Got some plumbing stuff, some faucets dripping, some shower heads dripping. They got a person for that too, because they're not just the helpful hardware folks these days. They're also the helpful home service and repair folks. From plumbing to, they got trusted people to keep your house humming all year long. Ace Hardware Home Services, they're bringing the helpful home, the helpful you love, from the store now to your front door. Visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at www.acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on that next home repair project.
Ace. Let's talk about Golden Nugget Jewelers too, because Valentine's Day coming up and we're all footballed up. Got to take care of your girl. All right. Number one, Valentine's Day, big deal. It just is. All right. So make sure you pay a visit to my man, your own 8th and Chestnut, the heart of Jewelers Row, right there in Center City. Go see him. And then you got diamond pendants, diamond earrings and stuff. She'll just love it. Love all that stuff. All right. You got to check it out. Golden Nugget Jewelers. And if you are thinking about popping the question, look no further. Your own's got you covered. Largest selection of certified diamonds. He's got all of the designers. Tacori, Viraggio, right? That's the settings. And they married a rock to the settings. And next thing you know, it's beautiful. and he'll work with your budget. This way you're not stressed out over it. You want to enjoy this thing. It's a momentous thing. Hopefully it's just once in your life. And boom, you got it made. All right, Golden Nugget Jewelers. Go to goldennuggetjewelers.com. Golden Nugget Jewelers, where Philly gets engaged. All right, joining us, I want a coach standpoint. I want an X and O. And because I can't take, I love you to death.
Yeah.
But you are in the middle of the green goggle land. And I love it.
Oh, man, I am so greened up. Greened up.
And I thought, I woke up thinking, I think they're going to win. Right? And I'm thinking to myself that I'm over the top. And then I sit next to you.
Blowout.
Let me go to my man to exit over this game the right way. He is, of course, the great Anthony Becht.
Yeah.
Delaware County's own. What's up, Coach Becht?
All is good, cuz. It's good to be on, brother. How you been, man? Everything good?
We're living the Super Bowl dream, brother. I mean, it's uncanny how, and you know this, being from the area, that the Eagles are going to be in 3 Super Bowls in 8 years. I mean, I'm sure you didn't. You could have never thought that growing up.
I feel like when I've been on the show in the past, maybe pre 8 years ago, the devastation, the heartbreak, the frustration, and all those things that culminated for the Philadelphia fans, and all of a sudden now, over 8 years, you're in those moments 3 times. So it's a hell of a time to be an Eagles fan, that's for sure. I mean, Howie Roseman, I think it starts at the top, and we've had those discussions over the years. He came back with a vengeance after that Chip Kelly reign and really turned this thing around. And I'll shoot him a text once in a while because it is impressive, and you got to have that guy at the top that gets it. And he's made some really good picks, man, and some moves that have changed the dynamic of the franchise.
Do you talk back home to your family? Are they going nuts?
Yeah. They've always followed me wherever I was, and they always embraced me for the teams that I played for. But man, there were never, if we ever played Philly, they were never going to pull off, wear my jersey over an Eagles jersey. So, listen, you know how it is, man. They're diehards, man. I got to hear it. I get the text. My uncles, they got all the answers. They text me, and I just kind of like play dumb and coy, like, "Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you got it." So I don't pick fights with the family on that stuff. I let them have their glory because I know it's hard, man, and it's a fun time right now. But you know how it is. Even with the 3 Super Bowl appearances and the opportunity to win them, they still got something to be pissed off about. So it is what it is.
That's it. Listen, we wouldn't be Philadelphia if we weren't pissed off about something, man. That's just how it works. This matchup is so fascinating. I really want to pick your brain about it because you got, Andy and Spags and Mahomes on one side, and the Eagles, and what the Eagles have done. You are building your own team. You are in the middle of that, Xing and Oing and building it, and you see how good the Eagles are in the trenches. And it comes down to that O-line, that D-line, and Barkley.
It does. We always talk about in the past, before the evolution of how the passing game has really taken over the NFL, you got to have great defense and you got to have a really good running game. And that's what got you where you needed to go. And I think the Eagles right now are living that. Their offensive line, is, I would give anything to watch these guys live, have these kind of guys on my team. They have been extraordinary. And even with the fact that they got 2 guys that are limping, gimping, and they can fill in whoever, they still get it done. Such a crucial part of the success of really any team. And you look at some of the great teams that have won over the years, the offensive line has really been the catalyst, along with those great players. Saquon Barkley, obviously, people want to, oh my God, the Giants out. Saquon would not have this success in New York because it doesn't have the components around him to do some of those things that make him great. He's being great because he's got a good line. He gets to the second level, and all of a sudden he can do what he does because he's got great vision. He's got great movement. And then, Jalen Hurts. I think about the masses say about Jalen. No one wants to give Hurts credit. I'll say this. In the biggest moment in the NFC Championship game, he was asked to make a couple critical throws, Ant, and he made them. And I'm just telling you right now, I'm as a head coach, if I'm in that game and it's 4th and 5, I'm telling my coordinator, hey man, move the chains, okay? Get me a first down. And the fact that he had that confidence to throw, he got the look. That's the alert that throws the antenna up. You get one-on-one pressure, you're going to throw to your guy. You got to be perfect on the throw. He made that throw. All right, so that just speaks volume. It's only one throw, but it's such a huge critical decision in that moment. Because if he doesn't make it and you don't miss and you don't move the chains, I'm pissed off as a head coach. The defense is back on the field, and who knows how that thing changes. So in the moment he was big, and I would expect him in this next game, it would be the same thing. His mindset and what he can bring to the table. He's going to have to make the plays. Now, a couple critical areas, and I don't want to get runny on this. Couple things you got to look at Kansas City. This is a great matchup for Philly. Not a real great matchup for Kansas City and Spags.
Yeah.
This isn't really an offense that Spags has a ton of answers for, right? Like to stop the run is one thing, but the offensive line we talked about so good. The tight ends to me are going to be big in this game on both teams. Both defenses have a problem covering the tight ends. And quite frankly, man, they're really game crushers. You look at both sides. Goddard and Kelsey. Kelsey not as much last game, but when you look at the matchups, these are problem areas for both defenses. I think they'll be key in the game. And you got to find a way to force a turnover. If you look at Mahomes in the first 7 games of the season, he had a turnover every one of those games, and the last 6, 0. Right? So those are critical things there. How do you get into Mahomes' head? Because he is the ultimate, he's locked in. Nothing's going to phase him. And then you go back a couple weeks, man, and Fangio's done a great job. And him and Spags, to me, kind of cancel each other out, in my opinion. You go back a few weeks ago when Kansas City played Carolina Panthers and the Raiders, you're thinking, man, like, what the hell does that game have to do with anything?
Right.
10 sacks. 10 sacks versus Mahomes in those 2 games. I promise you, there's a blueprint to get it done. And when you look at the defense that the Eagles have, this is a tough matchup for Mahomes and this Kansas City team. So, coaching will make a difference, of course, in these matchups. And, does that lean more on the 2-headed monster versus a group of 3 that the Eagles have?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because, obviously the Chiefs had an issue with their line. They had to kick Tooney out to tackle, which weakened them inside. Now you got Jalen Carter, right? Do you move Jalen Carter to the weak spot? Well, usually over the right guard. That's not Kansas City's issue. Kansas City's issue is left guard. Would you move Carter up and down a little bit and get him on the weak spot? Or do you say, all right, well, they're going to probably double him and then let Milton Williams feast?
Well, number one, you never take away from what he's great at. So wherever his alignment is, where he's great, I don't care who's blocking the guy. You're going to make sure the majority of the time he is there. But why wouldn't you? Of course, in those moments, sporadically, certain situations, of course.
I mean, do what Aaron
Donald. Weak link.
Yeah.
If there's a weak link, you're right. You got to do that because you got to apply that pressure where they're most vulnerable. And whether that's him in that position or it's a blitz and another guy pinching that, whatever that may be, you got to put that stress on. 1,000% you do that. And the best thing about it is the Eagles don't have to do much to apply that pressure because they are so good across that front.
Yeah, I love what you said because I'm with you. This offense not a good matchup for Kansas City. And, obviously I'm very close with Steve. He can't, this is not this offense. You just can't say, all right, well, I'm going to put 8 in the box and stop your run because the Eagles have shown you that they're impervious to that. And if you put 8 in the box and he gets into the second level, he's hitting home runs.
Yeah, the one thing you worry about, sometimes when I'm just talking about our perspective, and we do things like, hey, we got a team that's really good at the run game. Like, how do we change it up? You think a couple ways, like you sprinkle in some blitzes on rundowns or predicted rundowns where, okay, you get a couple guys trying to fill a gap in a hole where you kind of say where they lean on as a team, as a running offense to kind of shake things up. But like you said, if one guy's off on a gap, Saquon's going to find that seam. Now it's the problem is getting when he gets through quicker. So and then you talk about, hey, then you can bring if you start getting blitz heavy on some of those pass downs, I will say this. We were talking about it yesterday. We had a protection meeting. If teams want to do that, we're going to gash you with the run, even if it's third down, Ant. Even if it's third down, we can get our guy and gash him and make one seam. It's a deadly combination, and you may see something like that. I don't think Spags does that. I just think it's really risky. He's going to be more strategic on what he does. When it's a true third and long, okay, he's gonna put it out there and put pressure on Hurts. But when you're talking 6 or less, man, that you may have to play that straight up. That's where Hurts, quite frankly, if he's given some time with a great line, he's gonna get you, right. It's really just he just missed it. I don't see him missing too many if he gets the opportunity. So if this is a challenge, and guys are going to have to win more battles one-on-one than really scheming up the defense to kind of disrupt the Eagles.
Yeah, I you know what? I'm so with you. The Eagles win first down. Like that's one of the great gifts that they have, and is that they're rarely in 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. And that keeps the tush push alive for 4th down. That it's one of their strengths. In fact, that Washington was on that roll where they were winning first down, winning early downs, and allowing to go 4 downs. The Eagles are better at it than even Washington was during their run.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a risky strategy because you lean on it and you talk about it's been so good. But, you know, if there's a prop bet on the first play of the game for the Eagles, I mean, why wouldn't you throw the football, right? Even on first down twice in a row. Now all of a sudden you have a problem from what you're trying to play, right? Because in the mentality of the defense, they're, you know, look, these guys don't care. They're going to run the ball regardless down your throat because they can do it. But when you start putting that little bit of can't necessarily jump up there if I'm a backer, and you start playing flat-footed, now you got a problem because, okay, they completed 2 hitches or whatever that may be, and then they start running the ball. Now, I will say this, with all that being said, and you know how much we feel like that, it's tough to bet against Patrick Mahomes. I mean, and he is one guy that can change it all. He can change everything about the complexion of the game because he can buy a little time. He's always on the same page. Kelsey's and him are they track each other well. And all of a sudden, now you convert a couple first downs. I promise you this, they're not going for a lot of big plays. They are going to try to control the football game as much as possible and keep the ball out of the offense of Philly as much as they can. So, and they can do it because there's no one better than him, man. And it's tough for me to sell him short, but there are a lot of positive ways the Eagles can get this thing done in this game.
Yeah. I mean, that was one of our earlier. We were talking about it. Mahomes. Do you buy the Mahomes, bias? Not that there's, conspiracies, because we already talked about that. I don't believe in any of that stuff. But Mahomes knows how to kind of get those calls. He knows he's so savvy and creative that there is that thing about him that he just figures a way to win. He kind of is the ultimate winner in that sense.
Yeah, well, he's got 2 things going for him, right? And this is very similar to maybe Brady. Like when you're the best in the game, you got more eyeballs on you as far as those close ones, and you will get them. You've just earned the right because he is Jordan the face of the league, right? Versus maybe Will Levis. Nobody gives 2 damn. I mean, it's not, the eyes aren't there as much, right? No disrespect to Will Levis. It just is what it is. So now you add in, he understands that. Okay. Of course I would have a conversation with our quarterback last year, AJ McCarron. Like everybody knows, listen, man, look, play on the high side. You're probably going to get what you want if you're smart in those moments. And of course he's good at that. He has to be, and he doesn't have to do much to do it, but any little piece that he can show, he's going to get that call if it's close. And that's just the nature of the game. You got the best, you're going to get a little bit more on the line. And I figured last week's game, very similar. Like Josh Allen's in the same boat. And I think there was a lot of examples of both guys getting those close calls. And it really came down to some other circumstances in that game where, there were a lot of we need a little bit more information on the first down or lack of first down, the catch in the end zone, like all that kind of stuff. But again, I thought either way you could have went both sides of both of those calls and just happened to go the way, that wasn't for the Bills.
Yeah, this one's great. Like, how do you, since football is your living, what will you do for the game?
Yeah, I think what's cool for me is, a couple of perspectives is I kind of know where to put my eyes when I'm watching it on TV. When I'm watching it from, let's just say when I'm calling a game over those years when I called college and NFL games, I could see a lot versus where maybe the fan was probably just looking at the quarterback or tracking the ball, right? So, I always start peripherally, like outside in pre-snap. So get the coverage, and it's sometimes on TV you don't get that wide view, but you start, okay, what's the coverage look like?
Idea, yeah,
and then you start kind of collapsing down. And when the ball gets snapped for me, I stay on the line as long as I can. When it's a run, I'm good because now the ball's coming to the line and my eyes are there. But if I see the quarterback anything, I try, okay, let me watch the protection for just a smidge and then get my eyes to kind of expand to see where the quarterback's going. So you do see a lot. And then obviously once a replay comes, it kind of gives you, it kind of clarifies everything. And I'm a big, being a head coach, man, situational football, I am on it. Like, there's no better time for me in the last 2 minutes of the half and the last 2 minutes of the game, even 4 minutes. Games are won and lost there. And I am really, like, I'll put daggers on Twitter because of that. And I'll call a guy out. And it puts a little bit more pressure on me because I'm a head coach and I got to get it right. But that's, if I'm not calling plays as a head coach, I better be on it. And I'll put that on my back because I have anxiety about those moments because I'm just trying to try. What's the best way to go about it? Do we spike? And we see it every week, man, even up to the best games. Coaches can screw it up, and it's vital, especially before the half. Lost points or opportunities there, man. I thought Commanders, for instance, last week, Commanders were on it last week before the half.
29 seconds,
freaking ran that perfectly, right?
Yeah.
So, but I don't say that a lot about some teams, man. They don't get it right a lot. And that's where kind of my eyes and my kind of antennas go up when I'm watching games like that.
Yeah, it's interesting because your son has that. You taught him well. Rocco, is a big-time quarterback. And you know what? You taught him that. It's funny. I'll watch him, and I kind of see him before like situationally, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's day one of his first game he's ever played is situational football. During the week in particular, third down and red zone have to be a premium. Like, if you don't have answers for all those things that you could be seeing, he's not going to be a successful quarterback. He'll be clumped in of the quarterbacks of college football, or you can start separating yourself so that when they throw the film on in those moments, right? And you can throw two more critical areas into those. And I'm still trying to master the first one of these is we've already talked about the 2 minutes before the half and the last 2 to 4 in the end of the game, but coming out of the half and starting the game as well. There's a lot of times when I talk to Rocco, man, and he's like, hey, we're coming out the gates throwing. I'm like, listen, man, you're looking for the big play. Pre-snap gives you a lot of information. If you know it, if you don't force, take your layup, right? Get the early completions because you all know early completions with quarterbacks and receivers always transfer to production throughout the game because of the confidence level. And it's really not for him and his aspect because you are trying to get the quarterback comfortable. I just know Rocco's mentality. Like, if he incompleted the first 2 balls, he's going to be okay. But from a receiver's standpoint of getting that confidence, they're a little bit more of that mental head case sometimes. If they get 2 catches early or you get it to your guy early, man, he's going to have a big game because that's just how he operates, right? So you got to know your team, your players, and I think that's a big part. But yeah, for sure, for him, he does have a leg up on that because, we talk about it a lot. But at the end of the day, you got to have that mentality, right, to do it. If he can't do it, I could talk to him all I want. Yeah. And he does have those factors, man. I'm proud of him because of that. But those are unique traits that, not everybody has.
How do you judge? Interesting. We know that Andy Reid is great at scripting his first 15. Like, he comes up with something unique. He'll always put a new wrinkle, something that's not on tape. How do you match up, Andy versus Fangio and Kellen Moore versus Spags? Like, how do you kind of match that up?
Yeah, I give the edge to Andy because I don't think any there's never been a coach of his stature, and we're only talking about 2 or 3 guys in that boat where he's at, that has been able to change and adapt to the offensive game and the structure of the players, not only that are playing the game, but in particular they brought on and drafted on their football team. The creativity, the ability to keep a defense on edge, the multiple things that they do. And of course, Patrick allows them to do more of that because he does, for lack of a better terms, he does, after the play's over, he makes stuff happen, right, too. So you have a guy that can do that. You look at some of the great ones, and I thought, you think Saban at the college level, he was able to kind of change his style, and it continued. A guy like Belichick, not so much, right? Like he's still the greatest, right, to ever do it. But you look at the back end, like you didn't see that, hey, like, okay, let me get a GM and let me get things different. And then you look at a team like Dallas, like, okay, maybe not at the head coaching standpoint, because I thought McCarthy did a hell of a job, but from a GM standpoint, it's never changed. And where are they? They're in the same bucket, 30 years, whatever it is. So the ability to adapt when you're great, that's something I give Andy, man. And he does have an edge over everybody. Nobody has the edge over Andy in the league, in my opinion, because of those things. And even for a guy like Vic Fangio, he's forced to adapt because he just brings those complexities of formations and movements and the type of players they have on the field at any given time. They don't have great receivers, man. Let's be honest. But the way they utilize them and the attributes that Worthy brings as a guy with speed, the matchups are a problem, and they get guys in the right matchups.
Yeah. It's interesting. From the Eagles standpoint, having AJ, like you mentioned the 4th and 5 play, AJ Brown is so vital to this game because, again, if you man him up, he'll beat you. He'll win every time. Yeah.
As well as he should. I mean, he's one of the top receivers in the league. Plus, he's a bigger body guy, so he's always going to be able to muscle you through some catches as well at the 50-50 point. It really, sometimes it's hard to believe that you can go through a game and he doesn't get the targets or touches that he duly deserves. But, I'll give him a lot of credit. I think people have said and pointed a lot of fingers at him. I really think he's handled himself well throughout the season. And when the moments come, and this is very difficult for receivers sometimes, if you go through a 2-game span, you should be frustrated. You deserve the ball. You should get it.
Right.
But then when those moments come up again, to still be great. Because, I was always a guy, and this is just me because I didn't get a lot of targets, Ant. Like, if I got a ball early in a game, like, man, I'm good. Like, if you throw me the ball in the 4th quarter, like, oh, man, like, it's not quite, you're not, mentally, you're like, oh, I'm getting it here, So, for a guy like him to have a game and pop it off like that, he is truly a great one because, like you said, he really is uncoverable unless you want to bracket him up and try to take him away. And now who's the other guy? And you look at the tight ends, man, in this game.
Duty, right? Yeah. Because you bracket AJ. All right, well, I got Devontae, I got Goddard, I have, oh, by the way, Barkley, and I got Hurts' legs, right? They are so tough to defend. That's the brilliance of that, of how we did just to bring it full circle. That's the brilliance of it.
No question. No, absolutely.
You
think you're going to lose your coordinator after the game, Ant?
Yeah, he's going to New Orleans.
You think that's happening, huh?
Yeah.
I'm probably going to lose my O-line coach too then, if that's the case, because he's connected to Kellen. I got Mark.
Is he really?
Colombo. Yeah, Mark Colombo's my O-line coach this year.
Oh, is he really? Yeah, he was a good player. Yeah.
Good Italian, right? It's good to have Italians on the staff. But listen, we report the 24th of February, listen, this has been a really interesting cycle for me, both college and NFL, because I have representation now, and I do have some ties to some guys, and it's a tough thing for me because I love being a head coach, and what are the proper steps. But if you look at the cycle of guys this year that have gotten head coaching interviews and the experiences, a lot of names out there that I had to Google, on some of these names, so again, you can rise a little quicker. So just we'll see what those opportunities bring. But man, I'm excited about our season.
You're going to be. I mean, listen, I know you got your gig and I know you love it, but I got news for you. Whether it's Saturday or Sunday in the fall, I think you'll be there.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, that's the goal, right? So, but I got to win a chip this year, man. I got to win that UFL championship. Just like they said when you're drafted, right? 3 years, you need to be peaking. This is my 3rd year as a head coach, so I need to get a chip this year. That's what I got to do.
This is it. Let's go, buddy. We'll be
Let's go, baby.
Before we let you go, Anthony, we're worried about your hammies, man. Your touchdown celebrations we got going on here. I see you on the sidelines. You got some moves still. You look fleet as fuck.
And I got some hamstring issues late in my career as a player, so I'm very cognizant of those things. Brad, just because I got to watch myself on the sidelines.
Sprinting down the sidelines.
I'm heavy on the Pedialyte. So as a player, I kind of started. Pedialyte doesn't give me enough credit. I should be an ambassador for them. I was the reason why in 2010, there it is. Yeah, the vertical jump, the credit card jump. I mean, look at that, man. I don't have the bend I had, guys, but the stride and the knee lift, it's still there. There's no question. But I brought quick funny story. I know we don't have a lot of time, but the Pedialyte, they used to have Pedialyte in the fridge when I was with Arizona. I think this was 2009. And there used to be like one box, and I used to crush it. I mean, like I would drink the big bottles of Pedialyte. I drove 3 a day for the entire year. We went from one box to about 2 pallets. I had the whole team drinking it. And then fast forward now, my son drinks 2 a day. My team drinks a bunch. We got a sponsorship with the UFL, XFL a couple of years ago. I'm just saying, the only guy they're missing is my face. So if they're not going to give it to me, I'm just a head coach. Give it to my son at least. Let him get something out of the Pedialyte brand, because I know they're rolling in cash over there. That's for sure.
You swear by the Pedialyte then? That's the hydration.
100%.
Yeah.
My team, I might say Pedialyte over the course of February to June, because we're going to make the playoffs again. I may say that, give or take 500 to 750 times, the word Pedialyte comes out of my mouth. And guys are doing it. It became funny, and now it's just they're all walking around with it. So, hey, it is what it is, man. You keep pounding somebody in the head with something, they're going to turn into doing it and taking it on themselves. Pedialyte, man.
Brother, we're proud of you, man. Great.
There'll be a segment one day sponsored by Pedialyte on the Anthony Gargano show with Coach Becht coming on for sure.
You know what? I got our salespeople going to work on that today. All right.
100%, man. Hey, we both get a cut in that circumstance.
Listen, well, I'll talk to you during the season because I want to check in, man. All right, I'm going to be withdrawing.
Anytime, man. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Be a big advocate of watching the Battle Hawk. We opened the season up too. A shameless plug. Opening night, Friday night, primetime TV. Got the Battle Hawks at Houston, and we're looking to kick off the season big this year.
Well, I watch. I pay attention to you because you're my man. So I got to support you, and I love it. It's good football. I love it. So I'll be on the bandwagon.
I got one segment. I got one request. Give me a 10-minute segment on the UFL in season on your show every week, once a day, right after the weekend, and that's all we need, man. A guy like you could make big things happen with your fan base.
Yeah, you done. You got it, brother. And we love you, buddy. You're the best.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Enjoy
pal.
the Super Bowl, guys.
There he is, our man Anthony Becht. Oh my God, it's great.
He sounds like the Eagles are trouble for the Chiefs. I like it.
Look at that. And my buddy Tooch just says he takes the Pedialyte. He's a bike rider.
He Pedialytes it too?
So he goes 70 miles. Like he'll do like a 70-mile ride.
Tooch rides 70 miles?
Oh yeah. He's a big biker.
The Pedialyte is great. The electrolytes that are inside it, it's really good for like hangover as well.
You know.
Yeah. I've had some Pedialyte in my days.
That's it. Direct me here, brother, because we're in the middle of the thing. So tell me who we got right now.
We have the Brain come up right now.
The Brain?
Yes, he's about to appear in 1 minute.
All right. The Brain. And Baldy will pop on later, is that right?
We have a chance for a Baldy sighting today. Yes, I'm trying to figure out a time. He's somewhere in a I have no idea.
I just want to know where he's
location.
I just look what continent
is he on? I just want to know where he's at.
In the middle of the ocean?
Whatever.
Yeah, I'll try to coordinate that
Dude,
with him.
Goes back to like what Anthony was talking about. everything is the advantages. The Eagles are a better team.
They are.
You're just a better team. Everything we just said to start the show, he just said the same thing.
Except for the most important position. So, I mean, that's the only tinge, but
yeah, you're right.
They're the more physical. I think they're like a tougher team.
Yes. Brain.
Brain. Red, the brain finder.
Top of the morning to you, Brain.
Good morning, Anthony. Listen, I don't think anyone can argue. When you compare the Eagles to the Chiefs, the Eagles should be way better. You look at the rosters and everything about it. It's just, again, the Chiefs just have that weird, I don't know if it's luck. I can't figure it out. I swear, I think about it. It keeps me up at night. Is it luck? Is there external forces doing things for them? Because they're the only team, Anthony. I sent you a text. When you play them, you lose, and if you say to your teammates afterwards, we kicked their you-know-whats. How did we lose this game? Every time you feel like you're the better team after playing them.
Here's the thing, and this is what heartens me. Is that the Patriots lost. The Chiefs and the Patriots are the same type of dynasty. Great quarterback, great coaches, right? And they lost, right? I mean, the Rams beat them. The Eagles beat the Patriots. Maybe the Eagles are just dragon slayers.
Well, Anthony, look at the parallels. When they won in 2017, that Falcons game, first and goal at the 9-yard line, they stopped them 4 times. The Rams game, first down at the 18-yard line, they stopped them 4 times.
Yeah.
They then blow out Minnesota. They then blow out Washington. They then face the unbeatable dynasty. Now they face the unbeatable dynasty.
Yeah. I love those parallels.
Yes. Parallels are like literally eerily the same.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think, again, I always say show your work. I can't show my work on anything why I think the Chiefs are better other than the BS factor, but seems to come across every single game, though.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it.
I'm
a math guy. It defies math what they're doing.
Yeah,
they should.
I love the parallels.
I went down all their games this year, Anthony. They should have lost like 7 of them. It's crazy that they have gotten these breaks.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Look, I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah.
I really am. I'm excited.
Have you honed in on any props?
I have honed on some props. Some of the stuff I've done has been middles, which isn't probably going to intrigue people too much. My favorite prop, though, and it has been bet, 2 other prop groups gave this out. I think I gave this to you guys on your show when I was on early, but it's my biggest bet. It was Mahomes under 6.5 rushing attempts, Anthony. I want to just read you. Let me pull this up. Let me read you the data on Patrick Mahomes under 6.5 rushing attempts. Let me see if I have this here. Okay. Patrick Mahomes, 71-10. 71-10 the last 4 years in the regular season. 11-4 still in the playoffs, not as good, but still 11-4. Went 16-0 this year during the regular season. Now, he did it last game. I get it, and they obviously run him more in the postseason, but it's still 11-4. It's hard to get 7 rushes when you don't call any design runs. It's very difficult. Lamar Jackson gets design runs. Jalen Hurts gets design runs. Josh Allen gets design runs. Mahomes, unless it's a 4th and 1 where they do that little rollout play, it all has to come from a broken play. That's my favorite one, truthfully. I kind of really don't know
too is the Eagles. I don't think the Eagles are going to blitz a lot. The Eagles aren't a heavy blitz team, so it kind of lends itself to that.
And Anthony, look, I didn't get there last game, but I took Kelce under 6.5 receptions. I know Ertz had that crazy game, and I get it. And that does maybe give me a little bit pause for concern that Ertz had so many, catches against them. But I still don't think Kelce gets 7 catches. I just don't.
That's a lot.
And I took a chance, Anthony. I like Jalen Hurts scoring anytime touchdown. That's another one of my big bets. It was even money. The last 3 years, Anthony, he's done it 2/3 of the time, plus all 3 years. Even you want to factor in the Chiefs are a harder than an average opponent. You want to see that 67% goes to maybe call 62%. Even money, I still think Jalen Hurts with the tush push, Eagles down line, they give the ball to him, not Barkley. I think it's a really good bet. Jalen.
That's a great bet.
It's minus 121 on Bet Parks right now. Jalen Hurts anytime.
Okay. I still like that, VG. Even at minus 121, I think if you're being mean, it should be minus 150. And so to me, there's still value. And I actually took a shot. I took a shot plus 180. I took not a big bet, but I took Jalen to get 2 passing touchdowns plus 180 just because the math on it was so good. But do I think it's going to win? No. But that was a smaller bet plus 180. But I really made a bigger bet on the rushing touchdown. I would be surprised if he doesn't get one.
Well, how about your thoughts on Jalen Hurts 2 touchdowns at plus 525?
I don't hate it, VJ. I mean, I definitely
That's a good piece of bet right there, VJ.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, because
yeah,
he can definitely do that. I mean, and the Eagles aren't going to do that. I mean, and Anthony, you were talking, they're not going to do the thing where Josh Allen just goes to the left and they stop. I still believe when Jalen runs that play, that is the toughest play still to stop. And the Eagles, that's what they do when they get down there, and they seem to get down there all the time. And that's what they do. So I think Jalen will get his rushing touchdown. I really do. That's from an Eagles point of view, right up there is my favorite Eagles bet. I really think he'll do it.
Thing. He's not just a tush-push runner, obviously, right? So he could take it from anywhere. And I love that. Plus 2 touchdowns, 525.
525.
I think that's a
Why not? I'll give you guys another one. DeAndre Hopkins, I have a big bet under 1.5 catches. DeAndre Hopkins has kind of been really phased out of the offense, guys. Obviously, hear the name Hall of Famer DeAndre Hopkins. You almost have to do a double take. Like, oh, DeAndre Hopkins, of course he's going to get 2 catches. His snap count last week was 13%. They are barely using him. They're using Juju. Wait, 58%. Juju is clearly taking over him. Heck, even Justin Watson played more snaps than him. I think he's now like the 5th receiver on this team. Again, you hear the name Hall of Famer. I think he maybe gets 1 catch. I don't think he gets 2.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Brain, listen, there's no football this weekend. And it's a sad weekend for us, right? People say, you know what? I want to get into college basketball. Now, give me something. Now, I know you're not a side guy usually, and you're all about the props, but it's good. It's a big weekend for college hoop. There's some good games. Any leans that you have, just to maybe people want to go and watch a little college hoop.
I haven't seen. I was going to do my work tonight, Anthony, for the Saturday games. I haven't brought them up yet. For teams, you're looking for a team to win, let's say, win the title as a long shot. I do think, and it's funny, one of my best high school friends coached him in high school, so I've always followed Florida closely because of the coach, Todd Golden. They've been quite good, and I don't think they're getting quite the respect they deserve. I think they've actually been, look,
they
the
rolled
SEC's
last
a monster.
Saturday. I forget who they had, and they ran him out of the gym.
Yeah, well, the SEC's a monster. I love Auburn's my team this year, and I'm praying for them. But Auburn and Alabama are really, really good. But I think Florida's right there with them, Anthony. And I think if you're looking for a team that you probably get over 20-1 odds on that actually has a chance, I think is live, it would be Florida for me. I think they're just as good as Duke. Yeah. I really do. And now Duke will be a third of the odds. Okay, I think they're just as good as a lot of these teams that I think. Just because Florida is not known as necessarily a huge basketball program, I think they're a team that's still, in my opinion, underrated. I have them ranked 5th in my ratings. Yeah. So I actually have Florida quite high.
All right. Duke, North Carolina.
And that would be.
Yeah, NC's not great.
No.
It's a heavy line. I'm leaning to Kentucky's versus, I think they got Arkansas minus 10.5. I like this Kentucky team so far.
Kentucky, they had, look, VG, 2 days ago, I was so often, sometimes I do a double take. Kentucky played Tennessee. The line was 10.5. I swear, I have Kentucky ranked ahead of Tennessee in my ratings.
And they play without their
I almost didn't bet the game. Because I'm like, I'm so far off on this. But Kentucky won outright. But I almost got scared. You know what I say? The line's telling you something. I usually never let that try to do something. But when I'm off that much on a game, I thought the line would be closer to 4.5, just because. But never 10.5. But Kentucky's had a good year. I mean, I've been impressed with what they've done. And I think Kentucky is a legitimate, pretty solid team.
Yeah, I like them. And tonight at the Palestra, Quakers. Line moved from they were getting one. Now they're -1.5 against Brown. So I like the Quakers tonight. They started out terribly. They're playing better the last couple
What are they,
games.
6-10?
6-11.
6-11.
But they're 2-0 in the conference.
Yeah, and I
some
think
life.
Brown is, I think, around 500-ish.
Yeah.
I mean, these teams are rated fairly close. I don't listen. This is where you specialize, my friend. These are.
I might
these
go down
are
there
the
tonight.
VG
Do a little yeah, I like
a little
it.
Palestra
Little
action.
Quakes.
Yeah, I mean these are the trash man games. So, look, I don't know. This is not a game I will be playing, but when in doubt, I trust the trash man. VG stands for very good in this case. Very good game.
I like it. Great stuff, Brain. We'll talk to you next
I'll give you
week.
one last thing before I let you run. I got some good props for you. I want to just say real quick, if you don't mind,
yeah.
for the NBA real quick. Got some good stuff. Scotty Barnes under 23.5 is 23-11 this year. Norman Powell over 21.5 points, 16-4 his last 20, 28-11 for the season. And in the Sixers game night, Michael Porter over 14.5 points, 35-12. Nikola Jokic over 26.5 points, 27-14. Those are some stuff I like.
I like it. I like
Nice.
it. That's good stuff, Brain. Thank you, my brother.
Some overs, Anthony. Some overs for you guys.
We always like when you have overs.
Yeah.
People like to play the over.
They love the overs.
They love
There you
the
go,
over.
man. I could have given you boring unders. I didn't do that. Too much love for you guys. See you guys later.
See
See
you,
you,
buddy.
Brain. Have a good
Good
weekend.
luck, pal. There he is, the Brain. Brought to us by the Bet Park Sportsbook online casino app. Yes, Parks Casino. If you can't get there, don't worry, because the Bet Park Sportsbook online casino app, as you covered, next weekend, you'll be all over it, right? All those props we just talked about. I love yours, VG. I love the 2-touchdown game for Hurts, because Jalen could get 525.
Yep. And also, Bet Parks, they're losing their minds over
5
there.
to 1.
The other day, there was 805 additional wagers. Today, you got the spread, money line, total points, and 995 more wagers.
Wow, you
Oh
can bluff
my
out. That's
gosh.
crazy. That's insane. You gotta have it, right? It's one of the tools for the game. Download it right now. All right, and then you have all the other stuff. So anything you want, all the basketball we just talked about, and of course, all your online casino games. You got live dealer blackjack, roulette, craps, baccarat, all the hot online slots, all kinds of bonus stuff. So check it out. In fact, new customers, you get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down the first 24 hours. BetParks.com has all the details. Got to be in PA, New Jersey, Michigan, Ohio, Maryland. You got to be 21. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, it's one of my favorite times of the day. We talk about the True Mark Financial Green Light Program, because I wish I had this when I was a kid growing up, because I grew up with no money skills. This True Mark, this is if you got kids, it's like coaching your kids through their very own playbook of teaching them financial responsibility with a free Green Light account. The Green Light app's changing the game. It's helping kids and teens learn how to earn, save, and spend wisely. They can set up savings goals, track their spending, and even get an allowance all right there in the app. And here's the cool part. Each kid, they get their own debit card, so they feel like a mini adult making their own purchases and learning real-world money skills while you control everything from your phone within the app. You get a peace of mind. They get the freedom to make smart decisions with their money. It's like coaching your kid through their very own financial game. And for True Mark Financial members, this program's totally free. Now is the perfect time to introduce your kids to the Greenlight app. Get signed up today. Visit TrueMark.com/Greenlight for more information.
All right, buddy. This portion of the program brought to you by Rite Aid. Go to RiteAid.com for the store and pharmacy nearest you. Now, excited. All right. Yeah. He is lock of all the information.
Mikey G?
Oh, yeah.
Is he gnawing at the orange with his mouth today?
He has all the info from the NFL Network. Our man, South Philadelphia's own Mike Garafolo.
Yeah.
Good morning, Mikey.
What's up, cuz?
This matchup, I can't get it. I keep thinking about it and thinking about it. It's a great Super Bowl.
I don't know if the rest of the world feels that way outside of Kansas City and Philadelphia, but good for you guys.
No, but from a football standpoint, I get cheese fatigue and I get, everybody hates the Eagles. But from a football standpoint, from an X and O standpoint,
Yeah.
it's
great.
The coaches involved, right? Like that stuff.
Yeah, it's a clash of
subplot.
styles. It's a clash of styles on both sides of the ball, which is great. Two different defenses, two different offenses. I mean, there's plenty of storylines, right? The Saquon storyline,
birthday too,
Saquon's birthday, which I posted, and people said Cooper DeJean too. Okay, all right, fine. It's probably the marketing, somebody in the marketing department as well that I missed. My apologies. But yeah, no shortage of storylines with this one, and it'll be exciting once we get to it. I always find this week weird, right? Because it pauses everything after we've been at it every single week, and the Pro Bowl.
It's horrible.
The
Flag
Pro Bowl
football.
It doesn't matter. And they could be playing real football. They could be playing pool. It's not ever going to be a thing, right? It's not going to be a thing. And they're trying, and they don't want anybody to get hurt, and a lot of guys are dropping out if they're playing. It'll start to ramp up.
Why do they do it?
Huh?
Why do they do it? Nobody's going to watch it.
Because it's a thing that fills a week, right? I mean, and you say nobody's going to watch it. I guarantee you that ratings for the Pro Bowl are better than some NBA or NHL or baseball, or, probably beat a playoff game or something like that. That's the power of the NFL. It's the fact that everybody realizes we are down to one more meaningful football game before the month of late August, if you want to count when college football starts. So it is a tough time of year if you love this sport and you're looking ahead and you realize that it's just about to go away.
See? You wonder why I'm depressed.
It's a great week. It's a great hype week.
It sucks.
You can't be depressed if the Eagles are in it, though.
The whole city's happy and alive. Every time you go out and about around town, everyone's in a good mood. It's a great
But listen,
2 weeks.
a Super Bowl win, you talk about the Super Bowl hangover, for the fan base, for everybody, a Super Bowl win is going to get you to training camp because there's going to be so much joy and so many festivities. You're going to have everything up to the ring ceremony, which they held around mini camp. It's just going to keep reminding you of the joy that you will experience if the Eagles win on Super Bowl Sunday. So that's going to shorten and that's why the teams, and give the Kansas City Chiefs credit, they haven't suffered that. Now I will say, and we're getting way ahead of ourselves here. Well, way ahead. The Super Bowl hangover for the Eagles, because this was the conversation that I had this year with a lot of folks there. The Super Bowl hangover for the Eagles was real. And I go, because this was my question. I'm like, get out of here. It's just a convenient excuse for you guys because you started so hot that year and then you fell off a cliff. You can't tell me that. And they said, but you don't understand. It's hard to explain it. It hangs over your head for the entire season. And I still don't get it, but I do understand. And the fact that they now reset in a lot of ways and patched up a lot of those holes this season makes me believe that, yes, it must be something that if you lose the Super Bowl, hangs over your head for the entire season.
Well, I think what it is there is a pressure that you feel that a lot of it's self, but external too, that you got to get back there. Like the season is not a success unless you get back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I remember in 2004, Eagles played Patriots, obviously, and the following year, now they had the T.O. drama and everything else, but everything just did not feel right from the jump.
Yeah, that T.O. drama may have been magnified by what we're talking about. And, what's the last team to lose the Super Bowl, go back and win? The Patriots did it. I guess they lost to the Eagles and they won the following year. They're an anomaly, obviously, but you see the way that these teams, after they lose the Super Bowl, the next year, the way that they're affected and the way that the results don't match up to it. I don't know if it's any different than it was back in the 90s when the Bills were able to keep back year after year. I'm sure if you had Jim Kelly with us right now, he would tell you that it was a thing that they were able to manage. So it's there's a big difference between winning and losing the Super Bowl for the team, for the organization, for the fan base, I guess.
So you talk to everybody. This matchup, how do you see it?
Well, how do I see it, or how do they see it?
Well, both. Give me, what you,
I don't.
part of it is it goes through your filter because you're
Yeah.
talking to coaches and you're talking to scouts and you're going, all right, because this matchup I think is so fascinating. Andy versus Fangio, Kellen Moore and Nick against Spags. I mean, it's got everything.
I sit there and I think about the extra week that Spags and the Chiefs have to prepare for this one. And you're like, well, they'll come up with something, right, to slow down this offense. The first play of scrimmage, first play from scrimmage for the offense the last week, after Washington spent the entire week talking about we're going to hit them. We can't let Saquon loose. We got to commit to our lanes and this and that. It's just the first play. Boom. The game was over. Over. Done. Yeah. I told my wife it was 14-3. She doesn't watch football. She's with me we went to have dinner at the bar and have to watch it that way. And I can't hear the TV, but she can't hear it either. But I'm telling her, I'm like 14-3, right? 14-3. I was like, game's over. She's like, it's not over. And then Washington pulls within 14-12. She's like, I told you they're only 2 points. I said, you don't understand. It's over. You can't play that way against these guys. They're going to pop one eventually. You got to play from ahead. And maybe that's the game plan. Maybe that's the best defense against this offense is to get an early lead. It's easier said than done, but I can't get to, and we talked about this leading up to the NFC Championship game. I couldn't get to Washington winning. I'm having trouble getting to Kansas City winning, and I'll be honest. Yeah. I got 9 days to change my mind, but I can't get there right now just because of this offense. And it's not a greatest show on turf. Revolutionary, stuff that people haven't seen, wildcat, or you're not taking anybody by surprise. You're running the football. That's how you're winning. Tale as old as time in football. You are winning by running the football. It's not exotic. It's just solid. You got to run it. I listened to WFAN while I was dropping my kids off, right? And they were citing some analytical story. You're going to love this. There's an analytic story that said, or I think it was a bunch of them, and they said, well, what if Saquon stayed at the Giants? What would the Giants record have been? What would the Eagles record have been? And I think they said it was one more win for the Giants, one less win for the Eagles if it had gone that way. And to their credit, Gio and Boomer, Gio it's like, there's no way. There's Saquon, he rushed for 2,000 yards. Boomer's like, he's rushed for 2,000 yards. That's worth more than one win. And I understand the value of the running back and all this stuff. What that's not factoring in, because I know the way they did it. If you're doing it from an analytics, here's what the running back means. What it's not factoring in is this guy during the game, talking to the coaches, talking to the offensive line, telling them what he's seeing better than anybody. It's like adding a coach on the field. So you could say, the impact of the running back, I get it. That's not your average running back. Right. Physically and mentally, it's not your average. He has added so much.
I'm completely with you. And I'm with you on this too. I think I don't know how you beat them. Like, I'm with you. I've said this about them, that they are a front runner in the sense that, they're never behind in the second half. Like, they're never 2 scores behind. Like, that just doesn't happen. And their O-line, it goes back to how we did on the fronts and how the sport is constructed. The fronts, their line is ridiculous. Like, we saw Dickerson and Juergens, gun it out. Becht it in there in the run game. They're too imposing. And then you got AJ down the field on a 4th and 5 because you can't man him up.
Yeah. And they have, this is ridiculous. I just realized this. They played on a Thursday night against the Commanders. You remember the date on that game? It was November 14th. Okay. They played on a Thursday night after beating the Cowboys 34-6. November 14th to now, they've turned the ball over 4 times.
Wow.
4 times. How many games is that? It's just ridiculous. 1, 2, 3, ridiculous. 4. I lost it. Crap. At the very least, 3 months. 4 times. 4. And I don't even remember what the turnovers were. Like off the top of my head, did Saquon have a fumble? I don't even remember. But it wasn't. I don't think it's been. Oh, here it is. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games, 4 turnovers.
Wow,
That's and they're
unbelievable.
And they're they're getting whatever 4 or 5 yards a carry, whatever it is on average. Plus, if it's 3rd and 1, it's a first down. So they're playing with 9 yards, and then they're subtracting 4 to 5 on first down just by running the football, and they're not turning it over. It ain't hard, man, when you look at it that way.
Speaking of the tush push, why didn't Buffalo stop going left? Everybody said that they were going left.
Why?
They had said it on the broadcast that every time Josh Allen goes that way.
Yeah.
And they didn't switch up.
And they did. Wait, you said they didn't or they did switch up?
They did not switch up.
Right.
Which and Kansas City was waiting for it.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I guess they look at it like the Eagles, like what's coming, you can't stop it type deal. That has to be the mentality. But he always picked that gap to go, and and you saw it overloaded in that gap. Yep. I mean, it's not like the tush push where it's a
down
unstoppable force.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter strategically if you know where we're going. Which you saw what Washington tried to do to stop it or had to do to stop it. So my wife, the casual fan, and she was watching it there, and I said, well, people don't like it because it's unstoppable and they feel like it's sort of a form of cheating or whatever. And she's like, it's fun to her to watch. Like she enjoyed it. It's not like it takes away from the enjoyment of the game, what the Eagles are doing there. So, I don't know. I mean, I think if Buffalo goes to the playoffs next year and doesn't get to the Super Bowl, how many more times can they do that before they need to start talking about a coaching change? Which, not me. Like, to me, if you got to the divisional or conference round every single year and I was an owner, I don't think I could ever fire you. Like if you were Marty Schottenheimer,
well, I mean, that's like Bill Cowher.
Yeah, and he eventually won
years before he eventually
won it. Yeah. So, but at some point, it starts to manifest itself, right? I was talking to an agent who, I was down in Alabama at the Senior Bowl this week, and this agent has good thoughts. He's been in the business forever. He is a good football mind. He's not just a lot of these agents think they know better than the teams, but his point was they lost because, again, they lost poise in critical moments. Like you could look at it and say how successful they were, the fact that it's almost a coin flip and somewhat of a chaotic theory at the end of games. And he's like, every mistake that they made in a critical moment, you could also look at the officials and the spots and all this stuff. But his point was every time in a critical moment, they're making mistakes. The Chiefs are not making mistakes. Like that's a sign of coaching. He believes like McDermott one more year would then be on the hot seat if that happened. We'll see. I don't know.
Wow.
Hey, speaking of,
I don't agree with that. Just to be clear, I don't agree with that. I'm just saying, if that happens again next year, don't you think that's the talk? I think I know this business. That's got to be the talk.
Speaking of coaches and agent, Mike, have you heard any rumblings or talks about like a Sirianni extension?
It's going to come this offseason. They have not talked about it. It's not something that is pressing for anybody, but heading into the last year of his deal, my belief and understanding is that, yes, that'll be done this offseason. It's usually done if a team wins. A lot of times they'll line it up with the start of the season. I remember Andy's extension. I think John Harbaugh as well. Both of them got announced like right before week 1. In other words, they're pretty much agree to it the entire offseason, and they just table it, and then we'll finalize as we get closer. Could be something like that. Could be something where maybe it's the start of training camp. A lot of times that's timed up for a team to be like, hey, here's our continuity, and here's our belief in our head guy here. So that's my anticipation. It's funny, I brought it up to somebody close to Nick recently, and they were like, what are you talking about? We're watching the game saying, boy, if they lose to the Rams, he might get fired. I'm like, stop. I've heard multiple coaches on that coaching staff who have been around and have worked with a number of coaches say that this is the best head coach that they've ever worked for. So I believe Howie Roseman understands that. I believe Jeffrey Lurie understands that.
Hey, speaking of coaches, and you started this by saying, all right, well, it's 2 weeks. Andy and Spags will come up with something formidable. How do you view that? How do you view the coaching matchups? And is there something that, like you saw Andy put something on tape, did something last week, that a couple things that weren't on tape? I don't know. I mean, do you fear that? We talked about that earlier in the show.
He'll have something. I mean, he's got the Rose Bowl play. They did a good job with the corn dog at the end of the game a couple of years ago, knowing that was going to be an effective low red zone type play against the Eagles. So I would. There's nothing I would like more, and the Eagles too. I mean, I'm not just saying it's just the Chiefs. I would love to spend this week with them, right? It would be great to just be embedded with them the week leading up to the week leading up to the week leading up to the Super Bowl, and the game planning and the stuff they do. I mean, they have boards that they just kind of all draw on, and they all kind of go in there, and they were doing it during their bye week, because I was talking to guys there, and they were like, well, we're in a meeting or whatever, and they didn't know who they were playing yet. I'm like, what are you guys doing? Wow, we're going over what we feel good with, what we feel like works for us and is tough to defend. And if it doesn't make its way to the game plan, it's there, it's tabled, and we bring it back later. There is every year they do NFL Films, I should say, we air it though, does a show about the coaches. Do Your Job was the Patriots one, the Chiefs one, about how they, I think it was how they set up corn dog, about how they sort of used it early in the year and then they came back to it. And it was like, hey, remember that thing we did back in week 2? It's all fascinating. It's all part of the chess match. He'll have something. It'll be fun. Once the game starts and everybody gets over their stupid Chiefs fatigue and Eagles hate and start watching the Super Bowl, I think they're going to enjoy this game for what it is.
And it's real, man. Isn't it interesting? Like, obviously Chiefs fatigue is real, but the Eagle hate, they hate the Eagles. They don't. It's unbelievable. Around the country, the lists of boycotts. Who's boycotting the Super Bowl? Like, come on. You're not boycotting the Super Bowl.
Shut up. You
right.
ain't boycotting crap. You're watching the game. Give me a break. We're gonna do that Sunday. You're probably living in a cold climate. You're not going for a walk. Right. There's nothing else on TV. Every other sports channel just folds the tents, As the ESPN turns to the Ocho for the watermelon seed spitting competition or whatever they put on. So. We'll be on, though. NFL Game Day morning, 9 Eastern, all the way up to, not up to kickoff. We're off the air an hour before because the pregame show for the network gets the last hour or so. But we'll be there. We're going to have some, we're outside. I don't even think we're inside the building, the insiders that day. Ian, Tom, and I think, are outside the building.
Really? You're going to be outside? What are you going to be doing?
Our set is outside. So we'll have like a scenic, stadium in the background type thing. But they have to have a second location because once they get to, so I said the last hour is the pregame show. I think the hour before that, they also have exclusive rights. We're the NFL network owned by the NFL. We can't show the field once we get to like 4:00, I believe. To the point where
that's what happens when you sell it for a couple $1 billion. I go, I want the scenes. I want
but you would think, who's got the game? Fox has the game?
Yeah.
Or no?
Fox.
Fox has the game?
Yeah. Fox.
But they just had the one. They had the one 2 years ago. How'd they get?
Fox.
How'd they go? It's usually every 3. No. Something must have got.
Thought Fox had it. I was talking.
You might be right. You might be right. It's something might be reshuffled there. Or is it CBS maybe?
Check it while
Fox. Anyway,
I'll look it up right now. Look it up.
So check it while. So
Fox. Yeah, it's Fox. I thought so. Because Fox told me like they're worried about what happens after the Super Bowl because they know election and they'll be done with the Super Bowl. There could be some bloodletting that happens
at Fox.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna reserve comment on a lot of that stuff. Fox, but usually it's Fox, CBS, NBC. What happened to NBC? They got run out.
Who knows?
But back in Miami, that Super Bowl, I remember that one specifically. Our last hit, Ian and I, our last hit on the field. We had to turn. We were standing against like the backdrop behind the end zone. Zach Berman checking in. My man's coming up in a little bit. How about that? we had the thing, so we had to just shoot just us standing against the wall because we couldn't show the field. I'm like, we're the NFL Network. It's not like Fox is saying, hey, don't let CBS get a shot at the field. We're the network. Like, what?
Right.
Even exclusive rights means exclusive rights, brother.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nuts. Hey, the comment Jalen makes about the straight jacket. What was your circle saying about that?
Sometimes I feel like I'm in a straight jacket covering this team, man. These are the things that when you're going to the Super Bowl, they're blips, right?
Yeah.
And then when you're not doing so well, they become volcanoes.
Yes.
And that's sort of what happened last year, right?
Yeah.
Like, it
turned. Yeah.
I think that they do things a certain way offensively to maximize what he brings to the table and to maximize their effectiveness. Okay. And it's not like it's Lamar Jackson early in his career where it was Greg Roman and it was semi-college style stuff, right? I mean, he gets a chance. He's got a one-on-one with AJ on the outside in the 4th and 5. He knows he can go there. He knows he can throw that ball up. He does, he'll read from 1 to 2 or whatever. But we've talked about this before. I mean, he's not sitting back there Peyton Manning you, and he's never going to, and they're never going to let him do that.
Right.
And as long as they're going to the Super Bowl every couple of years, I think everybody should be happy with that.
Hey, so speaking of their offense, when Kellen Moore goes to New Orleans, do you think it's Petullo, or who do you think it is?
I think he's a strong candidate. Kevin Petullo is a strong candidate, and he's part of the game planning and play calling process. Each game they talk to each other, and so I think that's going to be a strong possibility. We'll see if Doug Nussmeier goes with Kellen to New Orleans, which I've spoken to people.
I mean, his son's at LSU, so
his son is at LSU. That is correct. That would be. I think if you're the Eagles, you realize what it means to him, to Kellen, to the son. I think that if it winds up happening, he wants to go. I think that they'll let him go. But yeah, no, Petullo's been the constant over the last 3 coordinators or 3 coordinators. And he's been part of the process, and he helped when Kellen Moore came here. He helped mesh the systems,
be the bridge,
and get everybody on the same page. So if it winds up being Petullo, I think that'll be a good job. And I think Petullo. I know Petullo is involved in a lot of he's got associate head coach title. And so a lot of the stuff that Nick asks of him is sort of vice head coach type stuff. So if he becomes effective as an offensive coordinator, because he should have been in the running for some jobs already, head coaching jobs, but the way that the league looks at it, you have to be a coordinator before so if he winds up getting in that role and then putting himself, I think he's got a wealth of experience having been this associate head coach for Nick Sirianni.
Would they bring Reich back in some capacity?
Could. Possible. Yeah. I mean, it's all going to be explored. And they're no dummies. I mean, I started to say, I talked to people who have been in direct contact with Kellen. Kellen's obviously not saying anything, but the best way to do it is you talk to him. What did he say? Because he knows you're not a reporter. He doesn't know for sure, right? He's obviously planning for that to potentially be the case. And that's a lot going on right now. You game plan for the Super Bowl, and you also have to worry about your coaching staff because these guys they want to know.
Right.
Like they're calling me, is he getting the job? Yeah, I can't tell you 100% because the Saints haven't even told him.
Right.
Well, if he goes, I could go with him. And it's like, do I take this job here? Do I stay? Hey, bud, I don't know what to tell you. I can only tell you what I think is going to happen.
It's funny. You told the guys like, hey, if I get this, you're going to call me, right? Like, and then who's hitching the wagon to whom? And,
I almost think, and I don't almost think, I think that the NFL should allow teams that are in the Super Bowl for you to name that guy the head coach.
Yeah.
And, it might be from an optics standpoint, I guess people might look at it and say, oh, he's already the head coach. He's already 1 foot out the door. He's doing that anyway. Right?
Yeah.
Like right now, Kellen Moore knows what's happening. If you name it, it almost to me takes the pressure off.
Yeah.
Because now the other coaches know, okay, like I've got the job. Just wait 2 weeks. You're coming with me. instead of like he's fielding a million phone calls right now from guys who want to know and he doesn't know and they don't, it's I think that would be my solution. Once you get to the conference championship game, if you're still in the playoffs, you can hire these guys. Okay, we'll see you in 2 weeks. This way Gannon doesn't have, I mean, he was dealing with the same stuff 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Not really knowing, but sort of knowing. And then he had to put together, he hadn't even interviewed. So he then had to put together a staff and really scramble. Roger, that's my suggestion. All right, good. See if you listen.
It's the best. It's the greatest. We got to get through this week, and then we'll talk to you on Friday and get nuts. It's going to be awesome.
I'll be in New Orleans. We'll figure out where we want to do that. I haven't checked the weather. I just came from Mobile, which is right there, which is beautiful down there. It was like mid-60s. So we'll see what New Orleans has got cooking up. We'll do it outside maybe. Are you going?
I don't think so.
Oh, my goodness, cuz.
Yeah. What is it?
73, 74, 77, 76, 75. Game day, 73. What? What?
The Garden District. Oh, cup of nice chicory coffee.
Yeah, but I know you'll go look for some voodoo stuff. That's
I love the voodoo. Yes, I do. And the restaurants.
Is Zach going? Because I know he's listening right now. Is Zach going?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, buddy.
Our whole crew's going. I think I have to take one for the team type of thing. Budget. Yeah.
Everybody's got a budget.
I know.
Hey, listen. Go fund.
I was going to go.
Send Cuz the Super Bowl.
The people that own us own or invest. The VC firm has Athletes First, and they have 5.
There ain't no budget there, bro.
Bro, listen to this. They got 4 or 5 mansions, and have all the guys. They're having these houses. And I think they sold like $3 million worth of sponsorship, and it's
Jess is going to the cocktail hour. Oh, good, just got that confirmed. I got to tweet that out. Yeah, Jess is going to the cocktail hour because their cocktail hour coincides with my shift on Friday, so I can't go. So Jess is going to go party for me. How about that? And she knows all the agents over there, so she's going to go hang out.
That's great.
Probably send me pictures. I'll be in Radio Row by myself.
My brother. You're the best. We love you.
Have a great one, Zach. I know you hear me. Hey, talk to you next Friday, cuz. Hopefully in person. Go fund me. Then cuz the Super Bowl.
There he is. Our buddy Mike Garafolo, NFL Network. All right, let's pay some of our bills so we can send Zach to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's talk about Parks Casino, Street Road, Bend, Salem. The fabulous Parks Casino, which, by the way, that sportsbook would be a hell of a place to watch the game. Incredible. But if you can't get there, you got the BetParks online app, which is incredible. The app's got it all. Would you say how many props are there?
998 total wagers are available on the BetParks site. A couple shy of 1,000.
Oh, my God. That's incredible. So what are our favorites, though? Now you added a new one. We gotta put the consummate list together.
Saquon over.
Saquon's my favorite.
Really?
Saquon over.
Jalen 2 touchdowns.
Jalen 80 touchdown, and then Jalen 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
AJ Brown over.
Let's see. Players receiving.
Gotta go AJ Brown over. Dallas Goedert over.
Dallas Goedert's at 50.5 yards.
Kansas City leaks yards to the tight end.
Over.
AJ Brown is 68.5 yards.
I mean, how's he not go over?
Seems easy.
Right? All the overs. No,
Over.
Listen.
Yeah, let's do a whole over
You may
parlay.
not go 6-0, but you're going to go 4-2.
Devontae, 49.5.
5-1. That would be my theory. Right?
Mhm.
All over.
I got to believe that. All right. You got to download it. BetParks.com's got all the fun. All right. Including all your casino games. In fact, new customers, you get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down the first 24 hours. BetParks.com has all the details. Got to be 21. You got to be in PA, New Jersey, Michigan, Maryland, Ohio. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. Also, we're brought to you by Valley Forge Tourism. Winter weekend getaways. Family affordability. Wait in Valley Forge in Montgomery County, PA. That's right, Valley Forge and Montgo. So much to offer. The incredible historical sites. Tons of family attractions, a vibrant art scene. How about outdoor activities like shopping and hiking and all kinds of great stuff that you can do outdoors and indoors? It's fantastic. Family, great stuff. ValleyForge.org can help you discover these hidden gems, endless activities, restaurants, tons of places to stay in Montgo. Get starting your planning that getaway today. ValleyForge.org. Make it a family thing and make it Montgo.
Will and Bill's Brewery out there. Not bad, not bad.
I like that.
Out in Berwyn, close by.
So the reason why I think Fox has the game this year is because the Olympics.
Oh,
And NBC got the rights to the Olympics, so that's why.
good. That's good. Good knowledge by you. Good job,
Thank you.
Frage. Good job.
Sometimes.
I didn't know they had it. All right. Brought to us by Valley Forge Tourism, of course, is the Locker Room Report with our man, Z-Berm.
Zach Attack.
The great Zach Berman. Z-Berm.
Hey, good morning. Good talking to you guys.
What do you say, my boy?
I loved hearing the Mike G just now. Mike and I worked together for 2 years. I learned so much from him, so it's awesome hearing him on your
He
show
loves
every
you.
week. The feeling's mutual. The feeling's mutual.
Yeah, I'm so proud of Mike. It's amazing. I think that he was my producer back in the day. At WIP, he was my producer, making like $8,000 an hour.
Yeah, all that success despite that, yes.
Yes, it's amazing. That's right.
Yeah, I'll give a quick Mike story. This shows how good he is. I was working on a story one time, when I was on the beat with him, and like there was a player who wasn't in the locker room that day, and I needed this one voice, and Mike's like, "Give me 5 minutes." Mike texts the guy, and the guy's on the phone with me 5 minutes later. Like Mike knew everybody. He still does.
Yeah, man, still does. Fantastic. He does great stuff. All right, buddy. All right, we've reached Friday. Now, give us this, set the scene for us at NovaCare. What are you feeling, seeing, hearing? What's the vibe like?
Well, the big thing yesterday was Brandon Graham being back, which we were expecting. He was on the practice field yesterday. Took individual drills yesterday. Brandon said he's going to do team drills today. Look, he's going to play. He says he needs to see how the week goes. But the reality is, like he acknowledged, he feels well right now. The arm feels good, and that he even said that he knows what the risk is. The risk is re-tearing it. He doesn't think. He says that's what the doctors have to tell him. He doesn't think that's going to happen. He says the reward's so much sweeter. So you'll see Brandon Graham continue to practice more. But the fact that they opened his practice window yesterday was a great sign that he'll be back. There were a number of players who did not participate in practice. Some of them were rest related, but we'll monitor the offensive line situation. Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, they practice again this afternoon. So really, in speaking to Sirianni the other day, they're trying to get most of their game plan in place before they head out to New Orleans on Sunday. They have practice again tomorrow. That's their last day of practice in Philly. Then they'll be back on the practice field Wednesday next week. They're practicing at the Saints facility. The Chiefs are practicing at Tulane.
What Devontae hamstring? What's that about? Is everything all right with there?
Yeah, it's good. I'm thinking at this point it's just something that they're monitoring. We'll see. It's similar yesterday. AJ with the knee. AJ didn't practice. AJ said it's his normal maintenance plan. With Devontae, it's a little different. It might not be the normal plan, but I don't anticipate that being something that's going to hold him out for the game. But it's something we'll have to see over the next few days.
So I don't know if you're like me in that you're consumed by the matchup, and you keep kind of replaying it in your mind or playing it out in your mind. And Zach, listen, I have the utmost respect for Andy and Spags. You know about how I feel about them. It comes up Eagles every time. I think that they're going to win this thing, And I just feel like they're unstoppable.
Yeah, so I think the Eagles are the better team. I think they're the more talented team, but I think the Chiefs have the better quarterback. And that's not a polarizing opinion there. There's a reason why they won 15 games this year. There's a reason why they've won 3 Super Bowls, the last 2. Mahomes is Michael Jordan, and you can be Charles Barkley, you can be Karl Malone, right? You got to beat Michael Jordan to get to win the championship, and that's kind of what it's like with Mahomes. Now that said, we talked about this the other day.
Okay,
We felt
real
the same way
quick,
about Tom
let
Brady.
me follow your analogy here. Mike didn't lose, right?
Yeah,
In the finals. And Mahomes did. Why did he lose? Because his tackles weren't good, right?
that's a good point.
Because their O-line, they'd suffered some injuries on their O-line. What matters is the fronts. And that's the essence of football. And
You're right.
I think that they have the biggest advantage. Like, I don't think they could stop Barkley. And I think they're going to have enough pressure on Mahomes that it's slow. Like, they're going to score, it'll be close or whatever, but I just think the advantage is like squarely Eagles. And then, I'm not Homer Joe, Homer Joe, Homer VG.
Now you mentioned the line of scrimmage. The matchup in this game is the left guard for the Chiefs, Caliendo. He's where the Eagles are going to try to feast, and trying to isolate Jalen Carter on Caliendo. That's going to be the matchup for the Eagles. And then on the other side of the ball, I don't think the Chiefs have as dominant a front as to kind of stop Saquon, but that's been a defense that's answered the bell all year. And outside of the Saquon component of it, because you saw Gibbs was able to run, Spags is so good with his game plan, and you'll see simulated blitzes here. That's something that, or I should say simulated pressure, because they'll rush 4, it will just come in different ways. And that's something that Jalen has been inconsistent with at times this year, right? So Jalen needs to play the game of his life. He played the game of his life against Mahomes 2 years ago. I think the Eagles are obviously better defensively this year. And the key is they're better at running back this year too. And so I think they'll be able to run the ball. I don't think they're going to be as porous on defense as they were 2 years ago. But if Mahomes has the ball down 4 with a minute to go, you get worried, right?
Yeah, obviously, we're talking about, Brady, Mahomes, the whole thing. We saw that in 18, right?
Yeah.
The only thing is, keep going back to it, and I don't think Jalen has to play the game of his life. I don't. I just think he needs to play like he's played all year, which is don't turn the ball over.
Wear the straitjacket, right?
Make a couple plays on 4th and 5 when you see man. Make a couple throws.
Yeah.
I mean, straight jacket, no jacket, they win. Like, that's the formula. And I don't know why you would try to change that.
You're right. Look, you're right. If they don't give away possessions, Saquon's going to get his yards. Like I'd feel confident in that matchup in particular. Saquon against that Chiefs run defense. The Chiefs have good linebackers, but the Eagles are going to be better there. I just think you're going to need points. I don't think I think Jalen's going to have to make he doesn't need to throw 300 plus yards, but he's going to have to make some tough throws in some tough situations. I know he can do it. He's done it enough. Heck, when the Eagles were down in New Orleans earlier this year, and they're playing late in the game without AJ and Devontae, Jalen made a few key plays there, helped them win the game. I agree that Jalen he can't turn the ball over, and when he has you and Mike were just talking about that 4th and 5, and AJ has man coverage, you hit AJ, and he has the freedom to do that. The straitjacket doesn't hold him back from that, so he needs to make those money plays. But you can't have the empty possessions. You can't have the 3 and outs. You can't have the turnovers.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I don't want him throwing 30 times, 32 times. Again, that's what they do well. I mean, that's what Spags' strength is. If he's throwing 30 plus times, that means they're in 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. And I don't want to be in 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8.
Are you worried about Andy with the bye week?
So this is here's what I'm worried about. That Andy's strength is the script. Mm-hmm. And his first 15 plays are good. He has success early. I think, against Buffalo, they had success right away. The Eagles have been hot starters, but defensively, it usually takes a possession or two for Fangio to get an idea of what that team's doing. So the only kind of pause I have is being down multiple scores, because that's something they have not been down, multiple scores.
You're right. Look, that's a good point. And, Fangio, he's outstanding. They have the number one defense in the league, but we've spoken the past few weeks about his history against McVay, his history against LaFleur, right? And it's been favorable. The history against Patrick Mahomes is not nearly as favorable, right? And obviously we're talking about Patrick Mahomes here, but I would caution against overconfident. Like, I think the Eagles are the more talented team, but Patrick Mahomes is that good. And I've said this a few times this week. In the bye week leading up to the game in 2018, I was saying the same thing against Brady. And then I vividly remember, I was on, Philly Sports Talk, the Daily News Live show in the Mall of America. And I said, I've been leaning toward the Patriots all week, but I go back to the lines of scrimmage here. The Eagles are simply better on both lines of scrimmage. And you could say the same thing about the Eagles going into this game.
Let me ask you something, Zach. Are the Chiefs worried about Nick Sirianni after a bye week? He's 7-1. I mean, you can flip the script both ways.
BG, you're a Sirianni guy now. Look at that.
I'm coming around. I've seen the light.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah. I think Sirianni's going to have these guys ready to play. I do. I just, they'll have their detail buttoned up. They know the Chiefs. I know when they won in Kansas City last year, that primetime game, it was a Monday nighter. That was personal to Nick, I think. And like Nick, we talk about Andy Reid's history in Philly. Nick got his coaching start in Kansas City. Nick met his wife in Kansas City, and then Andy Reid gets the job, and Andy Reid doesn't keep Nick. I think Nick, Nick's in-laws, Nick's family, they're all from Kansas City. So I think Nick would. Obviously, he wants to win the Super Bowl. I think Nick would love to beat the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl, too.
I agree. He'd love to stick to him. Also, Boop Stats, Bob Vitrone, last year he did a thing. If you dig deeper into Andy's bye weeks, Andy, when both teams have a bye, is a 500 coach. He's 4-4, I think.
Look at that. Okay. Yeah, I mean, Andy's a Hall of Fame. Andy's, as Nick has said, he's one of the best coaches ever. So, it's just gonna be an awesome game.
I'm trying to figure out how you're thinking here, because you haven't reached that point of that Friday in 2018.
Good. Yeah, it's a good question. I'm leaning toward Eagles for the logic that I used in 2018. That I think the Eagles are the better team. I think they're the better teams on both lines.
But do you feel it?
I get worried about the quarterback. That's Mahomes is that good. And you talk about them in 1-score games this year. You talk about the fact that the last Super Bowl, I've just seen it so many times with Mahomes. Like the amount of respect I had for him. It's you.
I mean, obviously he's great. Like he is. Who are you more afraid of, Brady or Mahomes?
Right now, Mahomes. And that's hard, but look, in 2018, I was saying the same thing about Brady. I get it. So there's some recency bias there, but it's like, I think of Scott P. always told the story where the Falcons are up 28-3, and the scouts in the Falcons press box or in the Falcons box, they're starting to celebrate, and Pioli turns around and tells them to shut up because this guy here is Freddy Krueger and he's going to rip your heart out. And you just have to hold on for as long as you can. And you saw that 2 years ago. The Eagles were up 2 scores.
I know.
So, Yeah, so I'm leaning toward Eagles because they're the better team. They're better on both lines of scrimmage.
And they're markedly better than they were 2 years ago.
Yes, but there's a reason why Patrick Mahomes is always in the winner's circle.
How about this stat? Maybe this stat, Zach, maybe it'll swing you a little more. Hembo put out this morning explosive play margins this year. Eagles plus 47, Chiefs minus 16.
That's a key stat for Nick. The two stats Nick looks at is explosive play differential and turnover differential, right? So that's a good point. The Eagles defense does not give up explosives. That's been a big part of them this year. That's a good stat.
I like the piece you did too about AJ Brown on
yeah.
PHLY. Like I think it's a big deal this second time around for these guys, Nick, the players, the staff. I think it's a big deal. They know how to handle it a little better now. So I think they're gonna. I think that I might be saying double digits.
AJ said he feels like a paid actor at the Super Bowl, right? And he would do what else.
That's a great quote.
Yeah, he said he would do what Alshon Jeffrey said. He would fly in Friday, do a walkthrough Saturday, play the game Sunday. The hoopla is not as interesting to him. It comes with the territory.
Yeah, great stuff, my brother. I love these talks. It's great.
Me too.
The next time we'll talk, you'll be in New Orleans.
I'm looking forward to it. Appreciate it. Talk to you guys soon.
Thanks, buddy. The great Zach Berman.
He had a great line. Most of the game plan will be installed before they smell any gumbo.
Yes.
I like it.
That is true. That is excellent. Charlie, right? So the Flyers made a trade.
I saw late last night.
Yes. After it's been a tough 2 nights.
Mm-hmm.
Blanked. And Farabee and Frost.
Mm-hmm.
No mo.
Yeah.
From the All PHLY Flyers show to discuss it. He does. You want to talk about how great Zach does? Charlie on the Flyers, must read, must watch.
Agreed.
He is tremendous. I mean, tremendous.
Agreed. And one heck of a tailgater. I see Charlie at the tailgates on the regular. Solid tailgater.
Let's get him up here. Charlie O'Connor. Hello, Charles.
Hey, Anthony. How you doing?
First of all, great work as always. And I just was curious about making some sense. It shows you that they're sticking to their plan. That this is what the plan is. And 2 mainstays over the last, 5 years, Frost and Farabee traded.
Yeah, I think more than anything, and there are a lot of ways you can break this down. They did get some pieces back, so it wasn't just getting rid of guys to get rid of them. But at its core, this is a trade about fit. They determined ultimately that Morgan Frost and Joel Farabee did not fit the long-term plan. And that's for a lot of reasons. That's primarily because of production. Neither guy took the leaps that they were hoping that they were going to take when they were selected in the first round back in the latter half of the 2010s. But also, you just have to remember that one of the reasons why they have John Tortorella as coach, it's part of his job, is to kind of be the arbiter of who's got it and who doesn't in his eyes. And you can agree or disagree with them using John Tortorella in that role, but that's part of why he's the coach. That's why he's in a rebuilding role, because they believe he has the ability to tell whether a guy should be part of the long-term future of a team that has designs on a Stanley Cup or he shouldn't be. John Tortorella never seems sold on Morgan Frost, ever. He's a guy who's been healthy scratch regularly. Over the last 2-3 years, it's been a normal thing. I used to joke on our show that when things would go bad, it was the in case of emergency, scratch Morgan Frost button, and Torts would always love to press it. He's just never been a Torts guy, ever.
Yeah.
As for Farabee, I feel like Torts was more open to Farabee for a long time. And Joel Farabee had a great first 4 months of last season. He looked like he was taking the leap. He comes back from the All-Star break, and since then, that guy has just been nowhere to be found. And I just feel like with Farabee, they looked at it where, yeah, it hurts to get rid of a guy who was very popular in the room, who was emerging as a team leader, but He's got a $5 million cap hit for quite a few more years. And if he didn't turn it around in the near future, that deal was going to be essentially impossible to move. And I think they just lost faith that he was ever going to get it back going again, especially because they had wingers who had jumped him on the depth chart. So I think more than anything, this was a trade about fit, about two guys who Danny Briere ultimately decided did not fit with the long-term plan anymore. And it was trade them now before, especially in Faraby's case, they don't have any value at all.
What happened to Farabee? What have you figured out with him? Like, why didn't he? I thought that he was going to blossom. Like, what happened?
It's a really good question. And I'm literally writing up an analysis article, and that was what I was outlining, basically trying to figure out what the heck happened to Joel Farabee in February. I remember I had some conversations with team sources last summer trying to piece that together. And their theory, and again, this was just a theory, was that he wore down as the year went on, and none of them questioned his work ethic, because Farabee, he attacks the gym. He was a guy actually that young players were looking to at the facilities, because he worked out at the team facilities the last 2 summers. They were using him as a model, but the theory was, maybe he's not working out right. Maybe he doesn't have the right regimen, and we need to find a new regimen for him so he doesn't wear down as the season goes on. That was a theory. There have been scattered rumblings that he didn't quite click with John Tortorella, which, possible. A lot of guys on that team don't particularly love John Tortorella, love playing under him. They respect him, but they don't love playing under him. So that might be it. Maybe also those 4 months, maybe that was just an extended hot streak. You can't rule out the possibility that the guy was just rolling for a while and then he crashed back to earth, because this is really who he is. I honestly don't know. And I guess we're going to find out in Calgary if he jumps back up and becomes the 55, 60 point guy he looked like he was becoming. Then we're going to know that it just wasn't a good fit in Philly. If he struggles in Calgary, then we're going to know that maybe he's just not that good. So we're going to find out one way or the other.
Charlie, is this kind of, it felt like kind of a cap dump too, like a salary dump. So because the Kuzmenko salary comes off at the end of this year. So
that is true. He's an expiring contract.
So do you see them? Does that open up that $5.5 million to try and find a center of some sort? And can $5.5 million find you a decent center?
I think it does. It definitely gives them more flexibility. Now, to be clear, I'm not necessarily expecting them to make a big move for a center, or anyone for that matter, at the deadline. But I've always expected that this summer they're going to, I don't know if I'm going to say big game hunting, but they are going to be looking to make ads, and they know what their weaknesses are. The center position was already a weakness. Now it's even more of a weakness because you don't have Morgan Frost on your team, and he was at least a quality NHL center. Yeah, I do think they are going to use this cap space to make moves at some point. I just want to caution fans who are excited about the possibility, they're going to go out, they're going to trade for Elias Pettersson in the next week. I guess you can't rule anything out, but I do think this is more setting them up for the offseason rather than setting themselves up to make big moves in the immediate future.
I agree with you. I knowing that what their plan is,
the amount of like first and second round picks they have is pretty substantial, right, Charlie?
Yeah, they now have, because the second round pick they got in this deal is for this year. So they now have, which is wild, they have 3 first round picks and they have 4 second round picks in this draft. Wow, I would be shocked. Nice. I would be shocked if they make all those picks. I have to believe that at least a couple of those picks are getting traded, whether it's for a player or whether it's to use those picks to package to move up in the draft.
Once upon a time, Sam Hinkie did that.
It sounds very Hinkie-ish.
Right? Like what Danny's doing, stockpile those picks. They're pretty impressive. Peltier, what do you think of him?
He's interesting. I remember, so I'm not going to lie, I haven't been following his career super closely. I liked him a lot going into the 2019 draft. He was a guy I liked. He's smallish, but he's got a really good attitude. He's an energy guy. His weakness has always been, scouts tend to distrust guys, even guys who have a significant amount of skill, and he does have skill.
He does. They had him on Kadri's line last night, I thought.
Did they? That would make sense. He's been playing pretty well over the last 2 months as he's gotten the recall, but guys that are smallish without high-end skating ability are always going to be doubted by scouts, and that's Peltier. but he has a really good attitude. He's an energy guy. He should be a very popular guy in that room from what I've heard, because he's apparently got a great attitude overall. He's interesting. Again, I'm intrigued by him. I haven't really had a chance to dive into his numbers, into the tape too much yet. I certainly will be doing that over the next few days and weeks, and obviously when we get to see him on the ice for the Flyers, we'll get a firsthand view of him. But he's a guy I'm intrigued by. He's only 23, turns 24 in a bit, so he could be part of the future. I don't think, though, like if you're expecting him to be a star, that's not him. If he pans out, I think he'll be more of a quality middle six winger. Maybe kind of think like Bobby Brink, but more on the energy side rather than the skill side, I would say.
Yeah, that's I completely get that completely. Charles, what we got cooking? People have your work is incredible. I mean, nobody covers this team like you. It's so good.
Well, I'm working on a deep dive analysis piece on the trade that should be out later today for PHLY Diehards. Published a story last night, just kind of giving the general outlook of the trade. That's for free for anyone at allphly.com. And then I'll definitely be having more pieces in the coming days. I know we're going to talk to Danny Briere at some point over the next, I would say, 24 hours. We've been told that possibly we'll talk to him tonight. If not, we'll talk to him tomorrow. So we'll get Danny's direct feedback. And then I'm going on the trip. I'll be in Denver. I'll be in Salt Lake. So I will be there almost certainly for the first games of Andrei Kuzmenko and Jacob Pelletier in Denver on Sunday. And obviously I'll have a ton of stories on that.
Looking forward to it, buddy. Great work, man. Just keep it up. You're a must-read, must-watch. Thanks, buddy.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Charlie O'Connor, all PHLY Flyers. So we got a treat. I was not expecting.
I love treats.
I was not expecting this man today because he's out of the country at an undisclosed location. All right. So all of a sudden we got word that he's available.
You found a satellite phone?
And if he's available, I want him to hang with him.
Yeah.
Baldy.
Baldy. Oh, let's talk some football. Baldy. Oh, he likes meats and football. Oh, Baldy.
Where?
Morning, cuz. Buenos dias. ¿Cómo está, amigo?
This is the best.
Nobody's better than you, brother.
I'll say
better.
this. This hammock right here is where I slept last night.
Oh, my God.
Man. He's got the life.
Look at that view. Look at that water in the background. Where are you? Hako Beach?
No. Hako's like that's where tourists go. Like you gotta work to get to this place. We're someplace on the peninsula here, the Nicoya Peninsula. So it's a big surf spot right here. You can hear the surf all day long. So yeah, I just had I was running hard. It was Philly and Nashville and Mobile, and so I figured I'd jump out for a couple of days. Get into the ocean here, get some body surfing in, get some good coffee, and then get ready for a week from Sunday.
Look at you, look great, man. You look fantastic, brother. God bless you. That is awesome. When will you head to New Orleans?
I'm going in next Wednesday. Be there for a couple of days, and I got to go to Los Angeles. I'm going to do our NFL Network pregame show that Sunday, so I'll be out there on Sunday.
Oh, that's fantastic. Have you, in the midst of the sun and the coffee and some of the tequila that I'm sure you'll drink later on, have you thought about this matchup? Like, have you thought further? Knowing you and processing this stuff, you do it with your mind before you do it with your eyes.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have any great visions of, Super Bowl Sunday in New Orleans, but, I just felt like, honestly, Saquon's been the MVP of this league all year. Like, why wouldn't he be the MVP of this game? I mean, we saw Buffalo run it down their throat when they decided to run it. And why can't Philadelphia do the same thing? And we all have as much respect for Spags as anybody in this industry. So I know, like, I'm sure he's going to have his 3 linebackers, Tranquil and Chenal and Bolton, all up there trying to just plug the line of scrimmage. And that can be good and that can be bad. Because if Saquon breaks through that line, I mean, he might go a long, long ways. And so I feel like, you'll get Juergens back at center, you'll get Dickerson back at left guard, you'll get back to your 5. I feel like that group is as good as anything we've seen in our lifetime. It's as good. Emmitt Smith and his group, it's as good as anything we've seen in our lifetime. From just a front wall of battering rams to the running back. I feel like that's been the difference all year. I feel like that's going to be the difference.
Yeah, Baldy, it was funny. We were talking to Zach Berman, and Zach said, well, he brought up Jalen and said, well, Jalen's got to play the game of his life. And I'm like, no, I think he needs to play exactly how he's been playing. I think the formula is what it is. And I don't see it changing because, like you said, they're unstoppable force. There's no way that Barkley doesn't get over 100 yards. I'm sorry, I don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you'll have over 100. I mean, you can never really factor those things in this far in advance. But Jalen knows he's smart enough to know. Don't put the ball in harm's way. I can watch Mahomes make these throws, and you're like, man. And I say it about Patrick Mahomes, and we all look. We love quarterbacks. We love Mahomes, but he plays the game with no fear, and the fear is he's going to put the ball in harm's way. He's going to make those throws. Now, maybe you have to make those throws to win this game. But at the same time, nobody's taking the ball away like this defense right now, And so, they all studied Peanut Tillman's, videos of how to punch the ball out. They watch those videos, and they're doing it. And everybody's capable of doing it. I don't know why every team doesn't do it, but they've punched it out a bunch. And I don't know if Pacheco's going to be ready for that if it happens, or Mahomes or whoever. But I feel like they understand what the formula is, and they're smart enough to not get too far away from it.
Yeah. Again, the last thing you want, we were talking about it. To me, the last thing you want is Jalen throwing 30-some times, because that will mean that they're in 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, and that's not how they live. They live because they win first down. They live, and that's that's their formula, right? Don't change the recipe now.
No, man, you got to count. A big part is obviously accounting for Jalen in the run game too.
Right,
he's an excellent runner, always has been, and so I thought last week, to see him kind of open it up a little bit with the RPO game, off the run, off the play action fake, to incorporate some of those things, to take their shot when they got their shot to AJ against a particular look, and just counting on AJ to beat Lattimore like he did. It was a big, huge play. Look, I mean, that was a close game. A lot of these games have been close. It was a 14-12 game, and then it just right there at the end of the second quarter, it all got blown open. But we've seen that time and time again, how they can do that. And so, largely outside of, a big part of this game are two teams that played against each other 2 years ago. There's a great deal of familiarity with a lot of the players in this game. But it doesn't mean anything, honestly. Andy's going to have his formations, his plays he hasn't shown that he did, against Buffalo. He's going to have his plays. And I just feel like no matter what you throw at this Eagles, whether it's the quick game, whether it's their shot plays, they're in position to honestly not be out of position. That's why they're such a good defense. They're not out of position, and they do communicate at a very high level. And those things eliminate a lot of the trick plays, a lot of the gimmicks that Andy has up his sleeve on any given game.
What is it about Fangio? I was talking about this. The one concern I would have, at least early, is Andy's so good with his script. They always start off. They started off last week with a scoring drive. And it usually takes Fangio 1 or 2 drives to kind of get a feel for. We saw the Rams do it. We've seen teams drive down there. They held Washington. Washington had an 18-play drive early. What is it about that Fangio that kind of has to see it first before he kind of knows what to do?
Well, I think every game has a flow. Every game is a little bit different. Every game sort of flows. And so once you get an idea by formations, motions, like once you start getting a feel for it, it's something that you've already incorporated, then you can start, okay, this is our check. This is our answer to this. This is if they go to a 4x1 set and there's, Nuke out there as a lone receiver, or if they get their 3 tight end packages, like I think you start to get a feel for what they're doing, and then you have the answers to the test. And then all defenses, you've got to, good defenses, you just refuse to stay blocked. And so at some point, it's up to your techniques and your fundamentals to get off blocks and defeat those blocks. Whether it's, they like to run power with Trey Smith to the left. All right, it's coming. All right, now are they running it now that they're going to throw you a lot of different formations to run out of? All right, you strip everything away and you're like, it's still power. It's still power. They might run, trail with the tight end. They might trail with the tackle, but it's still power. This is what they're doing. This is how you defeat that play. So you have to defeat it at the point, and then you decide if you're going to spill it outside or if you're going to turn it inside to your help. Like all those things, they have walked through those things. Every great defensive player, from Von Miller to Khalil Mack to Justin Smith, that I know that have played, for Vic, they'll tell you that there's a lot there. There's a lot of adjustments. There's a lot in the playbook. But once you get it, and that's why it took 5 weeks to figure this stuff out. Once you get it, it allows you to play fast. You really stop your thinking. And I think that's what we've seen. We've seen a defense that plays very, very fast and isn't flat-footed and frozen. But there is a lot, and that's the problem they had in Miami last year. There's too many checks. There's too many of this. And they started whining. They had like a, they had like this mutiny in Miami last year. All right. Well, I know a lot of players that have played in this scheme for a long time, whether it's Denver, Chicago, San Francisco, New Orleans, and they love it because it allows them to make plays. Zach, what Zach has done this year, I don't know how many other guys could have done what he did. To play that fast, and that's a prime example of a guy, to play that fast, make that many plays, and not be thinking.
It's so interesting, too, because it seems like they're impervious to what Andy's going to show a bunch of stuff that he's going to do a bunch of things that he hasn't shown on film. Like he's going to have a lot of new wrinkles, but it feels like that this defense is somewhat impervious to that.
Well, first of all, since the Tampa loss in the bye week, even in games that were close where they didn't play great offensively, whether it was Jacksonville or Cleveland, some games where people were like, what the hell is going on? Defensively, they kept him in all these games. And so what Andy did the last time they played him, they went back to the Jacksonville game and they saw that motion where they come, from the wide out, like they're coming in the backfield, then they go back out. And they scored 2 touchdowns off that motion. And the Eagles got caught both times. And they got 2 pretty easy touchdowns.
Yeah.
So I'm sure Andy's going back and seeing they had a lot of problems against Tampa week 4. There was this honesty. Now they haven't played like that since then, but they constantly got.
And Cooper wasn't on the field.
Coverage. They had man beaters up all day. They destroyed him. Now they haven't had that issue since, but Andy's going to find something that has been good against them. That's what he does. He tinkers. He goes back and he might go back to when Vic was in Denver. It's something that gave him problems, like people want to put up this stat right now. It's kind of popular that Mahomes is 6-0, 8-0 against Vic Fangio, right? Well, all right. Vic was in Denver. Mahomes never lost to Denver until last year. He literally beat him twice a year, every year, including his first start in this league, 15 or 16 straight times. So, okay, well, that was Mahomes. No, they weren't beating. They weren't losing in Denver for a long time. And Vic wasn't there when they beat him. But, I think that Andy will have certain things, and we'll see how they react to it. He'll always have his plays, his formations, and then once he sees how they react, then he'll have the counter to it. So it is a counterpoint thing, which is a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm fascinated. Baldy, what happened on the McLaurin touchdown?
Well, that was a crossing route. And so, they it's a classic 3 receiver route where he's running a flat in cut right there, and the 2 inside guys from the slot are going vertical. So there's a lot of traffic there. And then look, 2 guys missed. I mean, including Zach Bond. Zach Bond had him by the leg, and he missed that tackle. You know, and McLaurin, look, it's a classic case of going across the grain, and you're not in great angles, and you've got tremendous speed coming at you. They had 2 guys that missed tackles on that play with a guy that has top flight speed.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see, you know, like, again, with the Chiefs. Now, you've broken the Chiefs down every which way from Sunday. You know, obviously, Worthy is their big playmaker, and he's Andy's toy. But, you know, Hopkins has been kind of devalued there. He hasn't been, you know, and it's weird because, you know, he dusted off Smith-Schuster last week, right? Like, you know, it's odd how he handled it. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. I'm just, look, Juju had 2 30-plus yard plays, catch and run. You know, I mean, he's been invisible for the most part. But, like, you can never count on a guy like Justin Watson, a guy like Noah Gray. Like, everybody knows Travis Kelce. We know what he has done. You know, I'm not saying he can't do that. I'm sure he's going to be highly, highly motivated to get another Super Bowl. He's got a lot riding on it. You know, and Mahomes obviously trusts him. But there's so many different guys. Like, you know, you watched last week, they get a big play with Samaje Perine against man coverage, and they run all this interference, and they run him through the backfield across all this interference, and they get him, you know, out the backside to finish, you know, basically finish the game. You know, now he's always been a good receiver, whether it's in a screen game. So he's got a lot at his disposal. It'll be interesting to see who's active. Like, that's the first thing, 90 minutes before kick, I want to take a look at who's active for Kansas City.
Yeah.
Because he might have 3 tight ends active. He might have 6 receivers. He might have 3 running backs. But he can't have all of them. So sometimes just who's available, who's up, why are they up? Is it special teams? Is it a certain trick play? Is it a reverse pass that somebody, like, you just don't really know? And then the other thing that Andy's the best in this league at is anytime you get to the 5-yard line, like, because they scored 2 against the Eagles in the last Super Bowl. Anytime you get to the 5, or say the low red zone, inside the 10, the number of plays, whether it's shovel passes, formations, motions, the ring around the road, like, you don't know what's coming at you. So your eyes have to be right. Your eyes have to, you know, if your eyes aren't right, you're going to get fooled.
Yeah.
You're going to get, those cheese routes are going to get you.
And I do think he's going to lean into the run game. Because if you look at the Eagles, you know, without Dean, now Burks has played well, but I could see him leaning into it. He leaned in a little bit more than I expected last week. And I could see him try to lean into the run game a little bit.
Well,
Washington didn't have it. I think he's got a better chance at it.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I've always said, especially with the evolution of Trey Smith and Creed Humphrey, you know, inside, that they could be a good power running team. Jawan Taylor's a better run blocker than he is a pass blocker. But, you know, like, when I look at the Eagles and I look at the roster, I go, to me, they're just a better roster. Like, I don't think Jawan Taylor's a great player.
Right.
I think when you look at, you know, the left guard playing left tackle, I think Caliendo's a weakness in there at left guard. Tooney has played very well, but he's given up sacks against Houston. Like, they're not elite up front. Now, I do think there's a stat up there in these 3 Super Bowl wins that the Chiefs have not been called for a single holding penalty. And there's a lot of the conspiracy theorists out there about whatever. I mean, it's
VG.
out there. And, you know, it bubbles in some level of life. But, you know, I think the Eagles are better on the defense line than the Chiefs are at protecting Mahomes. Now, Mahomes has a GPS system in his helmet that nobody else has to get out of harm's way. But, you know, I think they're still better up front, and they can make more big plays.
Would you move Carter and match him up against Caliendo?
Yeah. Yeah, but like what we saw last week was, I mean, they literally doubled Jalen. Washington did just about every single play, and that's why Milton Williams had a bunch of good plays. You saw Jordan Davis get a sack. He only played 13 plays. Jordan did, but he had a sack in those 13 plays. He batted a ball down. He made a tackle early on. He made 3 good plays in 13 plays. But, you know, you might feel comfortable putting, you know, a Jomo or Jordan Davis over him too and just leaving Jalen in his spot. He's very comfortable in that spot. Personally, I love that matchup of Trey Smith and Jalen Carter. It's, Trey Smith's going to be the highest paid guard in this league when he hits free agency this year. There's no question in my mind about it. So, but that's a good matchup.
Go ahead.
Oh, hey, unrelated to this,
I thought you were going to give him the conspiracy theory.
Oh, well, I mean, the conspiracy theory is that in the playoffs, there's been 33 penalties called against the Chiefs and 66 against other teams. It's a difference of like 33 penalties and over 200 plus yards. It's a weird coincidence, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, but at the same time, maybe they're just better coached. Maybe, the reason why you commit penalties is because you're out of position. Maybe there's a reason why they're the champion is because they don't commit a lot of penalties in big games. And they play error-free like that. Now, that's an absurd difference. An absurd difference because they played against good teams in playoff games, and that is a wide disparity. And so, but I also know that they call a lot fewer penalties in the postseason. The NFL doesn't like to admit that, but they call a lot fewer penalties, especially in the Super Bowl. They call a lot fewer penalties. So they kind of swallow the whistle a bunch. And so we'll have to see, how that goes. But it is a wide disparity and one that doesn't sit well with a lot of people. Doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah. See? There's something to it. There's something to it. It's a little weird.
All right. Now I need you to give people the tip for body surfing. Now, listen, you are a vet. This is your domain where you're at right now. All right. For those people that go, I need to go for my mental space and go where you are and follow Baldy. All right. Like at some point, I want to follow you. Lead us.
Well, I mean, I was in Playa Pilata this morning, right? So the first thing you do is you check out, is it rocky or is it sandy? All right. Like you just don't want to be like crashing into like rocks. But the water is crystal clear, so you can see. I was on a really sandy bay this morning. But so that's the first thing. And then, you got to read the waves. Are they breaking left? Are they breaking right? And where are they breaking? So where's the spot where they're breaking? Because honestly, to be a good body surfer, it should take as little work as possible. The wave should be lifting you up, all right, and carrying you. So now where's the break? And what's causing that break? And so those are some of the things that it's like, it's like a pre-snap read, cuz.
Right.
Like you got to get, are we showing blitz here? Are we showing zone coverage? What's our motion dictating right here? Those are some of the things that you're trying to get, before you actually play the play.
Do you boogie board?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a board with me, but I might rent one if the waves are right. Right now, body surfing is perfect. But if they're breaking further out this afternoon, like I think they will at Playa Guiones, like I think out there, I think a boogie board probably be a lot more fun. Like you're going to get big rides. You're going to get 100-yard, 200-yard rides, if they're breaking pretty far out.
Do you imbibe in any of the, what I hear is the burning water down there? The guaro?
The burning water.
The guaro?
The what?
Guaro, the liquor of that area?
I just like tequila's just fine. You can't have
such a simple man with
tequila.
this.
You're talking about the fire water.
Yeah.
That's more Brazilian fire water.
I mean, I think I know where he's at.
Yeah.
I think it's the national liqueur of that location.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you what the coffee?
I'm staying away from somebody was telling me this morning about this ayahuasca, this thing that Aaron Rodgers did.
Yeah.
Like they've got that's right it's right where I'm at is where they did that, filmed that whole thing. So that's not my thing though. Like I'm not interested. I feel like the portals in my brain. I feel like altered state is altered state. There's probably some benefit to it.
Yeah.
I feel like the portals in my brain are already opened.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like I need any more openings. I think they're already there.
Did you have a nice cup of coffee this morning? Because the
yes,
coffee
I did.
there
Unbelievable.
Is the
it was like I smelled the beans first, cuz I had to smell the beans. Like there's absolutely nothing like it. There's nothing. Freshness isn't really the description that you want, although you get that. It's just this everything from the aroma to the way it goes down to the way it kicks in.
Yeah.
Like it's just the perfect bean.
Yeah. The taste, I mean, it explodes, but you're right too. It hits you. Even the caffeine.
Like I never like I would never put anything in my coffee here.
No.
It's just black coffee.
I do
Like
the
there's
same
no
thing.
need for sugar or milk or cream or nothing.
No.
You just want to enjoy the flavor.
Yep. I do the same thing. Now, what's for dinner tonight?
I probably should check, the catch of the day, probably, whatever that is, whatever was swimming this afternoon, it's probably, they'll have that on display. It could be the lobster, it could be, fresh shrimp. Like I might go out there and get a dive in today, just see what's swimming around out there. Got some rainbow fish, like some hogfish, it could be whatever the local catch is today.
What is it, about 85? What is it, 80?
It's going to be, it never changes. It's going to be between 85 and 90, all day. So it burns a lot of people out on the beach in the daytime, but that's great. You got the water to yourself when it's like that.
I'm looking at you, right? And I'm just imagining the sun, because I have a son. I love the sun. And I'm just imagining the sun right now, man. Nobody does it like you, brother.
Nobody.
Yeah.
You are the greatest. God bless you
Gus.
a million times. All right? Never change.
I'm just getting
buddy.
myself charged. Just getting myself charged for the Super Bowl week. You know how crazy it gets. So you got to get off. You got to get off the path.
Yeah.
Get off the path. Get off the treadmill. Recharge, and then just get ready to run through that finish line.
Yeah, you are. You're the best. God love you,
All right,
brother.
buddy.
Listen,
Thanks, man.
Be safe, man. All right.
Appreciate it, guys.
Send me some
When are you
pictures.
getting down, by the way? Are you going?
I don't know, dude. I'll text you.
Okay, you let me know.
Yeah.
All right, buddy.
Hey, send me pictures too, by the way. All right.
I'll bring you back some cigars, cuz.
Yes, please,
Yeah.
please.
All right.
Thanks, brother. The great Baldy.
I'm freezing in this studio.
Oh my God, it's freezing.
Oh, man.
He looks
It's
so
freezing.
comfortable.
Oh, look at the taste.
It turned the heat up to 75. It got colder.
All right, dude. I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, oh my God, the warmth of the sun
I know.
beating down. I could go for that so
It's
bad.
killing me.
Oh,
Doing
my-
ayahuasca with Baldy would be wild.
Yeah,
That would be an insane situation.
I wonder what her name is.
Ooh.
All right. Wow. That's going to do it. Man.
No, we got a little movie and TV to
my
talk
God.
about.
Yeah, I was like, no
Friday.
TV time.
This is the weekend
Oh
for
my
it.
God, I forgot.
We need them more than
How
ever.
can I forget my man? Holy moly. TV Todd. Act like a man. You can't handle the truth.
It's time for TV time.
Oh my God, brother. I got lost in Baldy in Costa Rica.
I don't blame you. I mean, smelling the beans, this guy's incredible.
Oh my God, brother. Oh, I was just sitting there going, what I would give right now to be with next to him right now, and that just feeling that weather. Because, we've reached that point where it's been freezing. Like, it's getting nice, a little temperate today. It's still 40, right? Like down there, just that sun. Oh my God. The
Yeah, we need it,
water.
man. We need it. Between Baldy's adventures and where the brain may be from time to time, certainly makes this audience want to hit the road.
Yeah, yeah. We're definitely jealous.
Yes, we are.
Farabee and Frost. Your thoughts?
Well, I think Charlie, who I agree is the best in this business, I think he summed it up really well. To me, this is all about Danny and Jonesy reminding us that we are in a rebuild, and these guys aren't effing around when it comes to that. They're not going to just be on the bubble and start making stupid decisions that don't bode well for the future. I like the move. These are two guys that were not going to work out long term. So I like the move. Get that second round pick, shed a little cap. Let's keep going. Ristolainen's probably next.
Yeah, yeah. Were you surprised? I was. I had some hope for Farabee.
Very surprised. And I'm sad about it a little bit
Yeah,
because
me too. I'm glad you said that. I am too. I thought I liked him. I thought he was going to blossom.
yeah, he felt like a flyer, and and I think he wanted to be a flyer. I just, for whatever reason, it didn't work out. It's a shame, but also, I try to look at these things from both sides. From his standpoint, giving him a fresh team, a fresh start, a playoff team, This really they could unlock the secret to Farabee.
Yeah, no, I feel you. All right, we got a big weekend. All right, so there is no football. You are needed here this weekend in a huge way, and this begins TV Todd season.
I love it. I love it. You know, and this is a weird one, cause I think I may have told you this. So I don't think it's any secret that I'm not the biggest fan of the Oscars, right? We all know what they really are. All they are is whatever studios decide to put the money behind to campaign for the award, that's what they do. And that's the films that we get to see, you know, as part of the Oscars. It doesn't mean they're the best films out there. It doesn't mean they're necessarily the best films of the year, but whatever. I have to say, though, this is the one year in a long, long time, and I've seen a lot of Oscar films so far. There's some really good stuff in this list and things that I would not have expected to make the Oscars list. So not that I'm going to watch the show or really care about how it turns out, but I've watched a lot of the Oscar content and there is some great stuff.
Give us, you know, your thumbnails, like, you know, your scouting report. We have Baldy breaking it down. I want to see you break it down.
Yeah, so this is definitely a time where we want to get back to the theaters, right? I mean, there's quite a bit you could stream at home, and I'm a great fan of that, obviously. But to go to the theaters right now and see some of these Oscar films, it brought me back to the cinematic experience that I've missed for so many years. At the top of my list is The Brutalist. I know I've talked to you about this, Anthony. It is a 215-minute movie with a 15-minute intermission, but it is a
This is my weekend. I can't wait for it.
It is a true cinematic experience. And here's what's really interesting. Your audience may or may not know that a lot of it is set in Philadelphia, Doylestown in the 40s, post-World War II. And what's cool about it is the scenes that are supposed to be Philadelphia, Doylestown, etc., were actually shot in Hungary. So the production designer turned Hungary into Philadelphia and Doylestown back in that time period. And by the way, Anthony, you'll love this because you and I have these discussions all the time. Reportedly, that whole movie was made for about $10 million.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. With technology and where we're going, you don't need a lot of money to make these kind of movies. But I really recommend it. I enjoyed the experience so much.
Yeah, this is my weekend. On Saturday, I'm all about The Brutalist on Saturday.
It's great, man. And you know,
we looking
the
at
other one that
well, it's a great college basketball day. You're gonna watch The Brutalist?
Yeah, my hometown's in that movie, Doylestown.
That's it. You got to see it, man. It's great.
3 hours.
Well, think of it this way, VG. How many times have you sat through a series on Netflix and sat through 10 hours of nonsense?
Like Love Island. You watch trash.
I watched 12 hours this week of Love is Blind UK, but not in one sitting.
Oh, that one was good.
That's just trash.
Love is Blind UK was.
You're the trash man for college basketball and the trash man for TV.
Because it's like
you got TV Todd and TV trash.
There's no, like, how many times are you going to pick up your phone? There's no way you can watch this movie for 3 hours, not pick up your phone, not get distracted. Come on.
VG, that's the best part of seeing it in the theater. I didn't pick up my phone once. Not once.
Well, you're weird with that stuff. We're
talking
normal
about?
people here.
You can't use a phone in a theater.
Yeah, you do. You turn the brightness all the way down.
Oh, that's a violation.
That's a violation.
That's a big
You're
violation.
right, Frazier.
I sit in the back row.
You're
no one
right.
sees my glow. I don't even glow. I'm in the back row. I don't bother anyone. If I got this,
Why are you? What do you care? You can't put your freaking phone down.
You know, some of the
Come on,
movies I
dude.
gotta go to with the pagan. I gotta go to like Harry Potter movies and stuff. I can't sit through that stuff. I need the phone.
Theater phone, Greg.
Like if I got, well, I wouldn't.
Yeah,
but
if I was sitting next to him and I had the glow, I'd break that thing.
Yeah.
Snatch it.
Like if you gotta go see
Spike that
you gotta go
bitch.
see Wicked. You're gonna watch Wicked without your phone. Get out of here.
Wicked. Why would you go see?
You shouldn't
Wicked?
even. Yeah, I was gonna say you shouldn't even see that.
Because you gotta go see all the movies that are nominated, right?
You're not going to go see Wicked. I mean,
Nah,
come on.
it's
No.
not winning
Come on,
anything.
No, I didn't need to see Wicked. I know what that is. But I saw, let me tell you another one that I don't know if you guys have saw this one or not, but Nickel Boys, which I think is streaming now. I saw it in the theater. Nickel Boys is fantastic. And it's somewhat experimental. It's about these boys in the Jim Crow South, and they get put into a reformatory school where a lot of bad things happen to them. It's based on a book, and it's shot. A lot of it is shot in first person from the point of view of the main character, which I know a lot of people found distracting. I thought it was cool, man.
Yeah.
And,
you loved it. You're the one who told me about it. You're like, dude, I saw it. You went nuts over it.
It was so good. And listen, I went to, that made me watch a documentary that's nominated for Best Doc called Sugarcane that's on Hulu. And that's actually about a kind of a reformatory school or that the indigenous population was sent to back in Canada back in the day. And unfortunately, a lot of kids were murdered, disappeared. I mean, it's a great two films to watch together. You see the fictionalized version of that kind of stuff, and then you see the real stuff. But Nickel Boys was great. I don't expect it to win Best Picture, but I'm really happy it was nominated. Listen, so many of the films that are streaming that are Oscar contenders, I really loved. You and I talked about it, cuz I loved A Real Pain. I thought A Real Pain was awesome. And that was made for $3 million.
Yeah, that's amazing.
$3 million.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Very character driven.
Yeah.
Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah.
Jesse Eisenberg's first, directed it. I mean, I thought it was so good. The Substance, this is cool.
Great.
I think I knew you would love it, Andrew. I think Substance is great because here not only do we have a quote unquote horror film that's nominated for Best Picture, first that I can recall, female director of a horror film that's nominated for an Oscar. And to me, this film is so good. It is Black Mirror meets Cronenberg's The Fly.
Wow.
It is, I'm telling you, it gets a little crazy towards the end,
right?
But I loved it. It's so Black Mirror. It could have been a Black Mirror episode.
Easily, yeah. Demi Moore is really, really good in it too.
That Black Mirror was incredible.
Yeah, new season coming out.
There was one episode that it stuck with me because of how the world was all about like your Uber rating.
Oh,
do you remember that?
Yep. It's like in the first season.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was like you had a score and you had to be like this fake nice. And it was your rating. And your rating was tied to everything, like your financial life, like everything about it. Your professional life was all about this rating.
Yeah.
Doesn't China have that?
Because
China's got a social rating, I feel like. Like you can't go on certain trains and stuff.
Yeah, like locks you out if you're like a low rating.
So like if you misbehave, if you get crazy at a bar, your social rating will be reflected, and you won't not be able to go to bars.
That's dystopian, man. That's insane.
China's social credit system, a national system that assigns a social credit score to each citizen based on their behavior.
Yeah, that's messed up, man. Yeah. Like that's dystopian world. That's
because man, you identified the best Black Mirror episode made. Hands down. It stars Bryce Dallas Howard, and it was called Nosedive. And at the end of the episode, she sort of unplugs from all of this social media stuff, and you get to see who the real personalities are because nobody knows anybody's real personality anymore.
Right.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
It was a great episode. It was unbelievable. I remember it stuck with me. I went back and watched it again because it was so, it haunted me.
Yeah. So, cuz let me give you a couple more that are streaming out there for people that they can watch this weekend. Conclave, obviously, we've talked about that. Great film and certainly worthy of a Best Picture nominee. Anora, certainly worthy of acclaim. I'm not sure it's a typical Best Picture nominee, but I love the fact that it's in there. Fraser and I have talked offline about A Different Man with Sebastian Stan. That's on Max right now, and I loved it. Loved it too. It's very, and you know what? It's great that it came out at the time when David Lynch left us because it reminds me very much of David Lynch. It includes a lot of the Elephant Man themes in it. But Sebastian Stan didn't get a nomination for that. He got a nomination for The Apprentice playing Donald Trump. But A Different Man, I thought was worthy of a nomination for that. Then I'm going to throw up there a film a lot of people aren't talking about, although it did get a couple nods. Maria which with Angelina Jolie, where she plays opera singer Maria Callas. Great movie, really, really good. That's on Netflix, I believe. And then the last one I want to throw out to you is a nominee for Best International Film. And I think this one is fantastic. It's called Girl with the Needle. And it's the true story of this Danish woman in 1941 who was the first kind of serial killer. She was a serial killer of babies.
Oh my God. That's evil.
Pretty wild, man. It's true story. This woman went to trial and everything.
Oh my God. That's
only 2 hours and 2 minutes. I'm in on that one.
You know what, VG?
What is this short? Every movie nominated is 2 hours and 20 minutes. My God.
You know what? That's exactly what I was going to say.
Says the dude who has no children, right? Who's got all the time in the world.
2 hours and 20 minutes. Like, that's a huge.
Got no time for art. What else you gonna do?
It's ridiculous.
What else you got? You got no. It's art. Appreciate the art.
Yeah, learn the craft. Learn how to tell your story in 90 minutes, 120 minutes.
You're come on.
No,
220.
Everything I hate.
Just bad directing,
220
bad
is not a
writing.
big commitment. All right.
We don't need movies this long. We don't.
I don't know. Some of these movies, I don't even want them to end. Some of them are going on. I'm like,
you guys need better social lives then. My God, come on. You guys got to get better stuff going on in your world.
Sorry, I can't go to the pub every night like freaking,
I'll be in a basketball game tonight.
Cliff Clavin every night. You're at the pub. I'm at the pub tonight. First of all, at the bar. You're in Philadelphia. You ain't in London.
I'm at the pub.
You're at the bar.
I don't know what your bars are. I'm at the pub. I'm going to a basketball game tonight. What are you talking about? I'm all over the place. I'm bebopping all over this town. Doing all kinds of stuff.
You're going to go out once. You're going to out of the bar.
I ain't got time to be spending 3 hours on these movies.
Nursing a beer for 3 hours. Freaking guy. We've complained about film.
Listen, there's a.
What do you want, bro?
He's with me. He don't like these 3 hour movies.
He's got no class either.
Bro, thumbs up or down these long movies these days.
He don't respect
a 3 hour movie.
He doesn't respect art.
It depends what it is.
The Brutalist.
I would watch that.
My man!
Yeah.
The bro.
Yeah. I feel you. No, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. You've evolved. I'm proud of you.
Nosferatu is what he's talking about.
Well,
the vampire porn, yeah.
God,
he doesn't like scary movies.
You are the best. You are the best. You're the best.
Hey, cuz, before you go, you gotta tell my cheesesteak story. I sent it again to Andrew this morning.
Did you send it? You got it? Tell him. Tell everybody.
So I live in Hershey, Pennsylvania area, and there's a legit cheesesteak place. And I say that being a guy from Philly, right? They get the right rolls and everything. They're really good. They're called Stuffed Steaks. And what they did was they sent $2,600 in gift cards, emphasis on 26, to the Giants general manager with a letter thanking them.
I love it.
Joe Shane, with a letter thanking them for giving us Saquon Barkley and sending them $2,600 in gift cards. But Stuffed Steaks is the best, and I love that they did that. And they're a real Philly steak place right here in Hershey.
I love it. I freaking love it. Stuffed steaks. When we go, we probably have a baseball tournament around there this summer. You and I will go to Stuffed Steaks.
I love it. I'll tell them you're coming. They're going to love it.
Yeah. Let's do it, brother. Let's do it.
Cool.
All right. People will get a hold of you right there at Todd Schill on X.
Yep.
You're the best, buddy.
Great follow.
Thanks, guys.
I got to go to the bathroom. See you, pal. We've been almost at it for 3 hours. A little different than radio.
Can we just say before you, Tyrese Maxey getting a snub at the All-Star? I'm not a fan of that at all. He deserved an All-Star game.
Are you kidding me?
Right?
How in the world does he not?
It's ridiculous.
I mean, like, honestly, if I cared about that freaking league, which has been the bane of my existence,
right?
The biggest disappointment that I've encountered in sports is from a global standpoint is that NBA, which I loved, which I hate to say it, once in a while pay attention to more than I should. It's a joke. Yeah. That's ridiculous.
That kid's can't be a reserve. He's like fifth in scoring with the slop he's playing with.
Yeah. Nobody.
Right.
Got nobody.
Right.
That's shameful.
Yeah.
Oh, it's horrible. All right. That's going to do it for us. Great job, Frage. Joey Marone.
One more week.
What are you doing this weekend?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm getting ready for next weekend.
All right. What are you doing? You're going to the game tonight?
I'm going to try and go to the game tonight. Yeah.
You troglodyte?
Yes. Try to go to the game tonight. Party to go to on Saturday.
Watch a better man this weekend. You'll enjoy it. Find some time for you, the 220.
I got work to do this weekend, actually. I told you, I got a big roast. I'm roasting a friend of mine Monday. I got to get the jokes together this weekend.
You know what? We got to have a camera there. To show.
I think they're going to tape. I think they're going to record
well, then
it.
we're going to show parts of the roast on the show.
All right. Yeah,
All
they
right?
record it. You got it.
We'll do it. We'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's going to do it for us, everybody. Have a great weekend. Thanks for hanging. Extended edition. We appreciate it. Next week, Super Bowl week. Super Bowl.
Can't wait.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
We all silly like the mayor.